Huzzah. Welcome into the High Noon Rant. I am Pugs Moran. It's Friday, and it's decidedly summer. It is. I for some reason, I just feel like this is the first weekend of summer. I know that technically summer has probably started a couple of weekends ago. But just everything today, from the overbearing heat that greeted me this morning as I stepped outside here in lovely University Park on the campus of SMU, Southern Methodist University. It was like a blow dryer, and it was like at 7:45 in the morning. Don't even get me started on my day. Hold on. I'll let you know all that not extempore. What do we call that? Whatever. I'll finish that story. But first, I need to tell you what this is. It's the High Noon Rant. I am Pugs Moran. I do it every day at noon. This show, for the next couple hours at least, is going to be about all of the day's events, hot topics, current events, headlines, whatever it is people are talking about. I'm going to tell you why it's trending. I'm going to tell you why people are talking about it. Then I'm going to give you my hot take, and then we're going to move on. No questions asked. This show attempts to do talk radio in a way that you don't really get to hear anymore. Most talk radio that is allowed to be on the radio has a very decided political bent. This show is just not that. This show just looks at everything that's happening, and I am neither right, I am not left, I am just a normal person. That's what I call us. We are a gathering of the normies. Gathering of the normals every day. We do it at noon. So we do the show in 4 parts. It's 4 segments that come together to form one perfect, seamless show. The first part, we call it Antecedently on This Day. That's just this day in history. I just look at some things that happened on this day, and I tell you about them. Second is birthdays. You know what that is. We have some fun with that. Are they cool? Do we wish them a happy birthday? That's how that goes. Quarter 3 is deads. These are people who died on this day. We open up the books in this one, and we decide when they died, these celebrities, did they go to heaven or did they go to hell? Just a little moment where we get to feel some power. We decide. Quarter 4 is hot topics, trends, current events, headlines, all of that stuff. Fourth quarter is the biggest part of the show. The first 3 quarters take about a half hour, 40 minutes to get through. All right, so that's it. That's the show. That's the rant. And by the way, it is performed by me, if you haven't already noticed, in a style, a stream of consciousness style. Means I just start talking. And whatever is next up in my mind, I just say it, I blurt it out. I use the current events of the day as sort of guardrails so that we don't spin too far off into nonsense, but we will spin into nonsense, I promise you. Let's say hi to the chat room. We've got Peter here. Hi, Peter. We've got Byron here. We've got Adam here. We've got Jameson. We've got Toronto. We've got Barney. Who else do we have? Let's keep going. Come on in, chat roomers. Say hi. I like it when you say hi. I like to say hi back. Chat room is a fun place. This show runs on your gratuities, your tips, as you can probably see right there. Venmo available for you whenever you want. Drop a little something in 24 hours a day. We never sleep. We'll take your money whenever. Same goes for Cash App. If you want to support this kind of non-political, it's divisive. I don't like to say it's a non-divisive show because it's divisive because I got opinions. And if you people disagree with me, well, whatever. But it has nothing to do with how I vote. Hi, Scott. Scott's here. Look who's here. We got Jimmy Smells in the house. Jimmy Smells is here. That's what I'm calling James Smeltzer. I'm calling him Jimmy Smells. Jimmy Smells is here. All right, guys. So this morning I had to wake up early because my friends, the lovely E's, the E, you remember? Yeah, maybe you don't. He's been gone and off the show for so long. E used to do a nighttime show with me and James. Then it was just me and James. Then it was just me. And I went, nobody wants this, except I guess I do it just me every day. Anyway, E used to do the show with us. He's our friend, E. He's a fun guy. He went off with his family for like the next 2 weeks or something to Hawaii. That's right, Hawaii. So I took them to the airport, which I was happy to do this time because they went to Love Field. They flew out of Love Field, which is nice. Because as I say, we're right here on the SMU campus. That's literally 3 blocks away. Yeah, I'll take you to the airport. Imagine taking someone to an airport and not even needing to get on a major street. We went through the neighborhoods all the way, came out on Levin Avenue out there at University in Lemon, and boop, dropped them at the airport. No harm, no foul. It was beautiful. But you got, hi, Cam. Cam's here. Reggie Days is here. Did I say hi to Scott? I think I did. I said hi to Scott. Scott's here. But then, guys, after I drop him off at the airport, I had this situation. And by the way, I was driving their vehicle because their vehicle is very big. And these people, apparently, they need to bring half their. I'm surprised we didn't use a U-Haul for the luggage that these people have for their stay in Hawaii. Anyway, so we took their vehicle because there's just more room. And on the way back from the airport, on 2 different occasions, oh my God, you guys. Now, I am a law-abiding citizen for the most part. I'm just saying for the most part. I don't know. You might be able to find some stuff, but whatever. All I'm saying is I am not one of these troublemaking hooligans out there roaring around on the city streets. I drive cautiously. I drive very defensively. I'm not an aggressive driver. I know you're a bunch of idiots out there. I don't trust any of you. Anyway, so I'm driving on 2 different occasions. On like I had to stop at Kroger. I went to Kroger, so I didn't do the direct route back from the airport to the house. So I stopped at Kroger. But on 2 separate occasions, I had Highland Park Police. Now it's very important that I put this out. Highland Park Police. On 2 separate occasions, I had Highland Park Police following me as I cut through the neighborhood of Highland Park. Following me. And like I said, I'm a law-abiding citizen, but why is that still so stressful? Do I have a guilty conscience? It's like you look in the mirror and there's a cop right behind you and you're like, okay, who had 10 and 12 on the wheel, right? You're like, what is the speed limit? It's like, I'm 16 again. I'm 16 and I'm freaking out. I mean, I don't do anything wrong. I'm not a criminal. So I don't really do anything. I don't like duck off into an alley or try and shake him and see if I don't do that. But I'm just driving normally. I make a right turn. I put my turn signal on with plenty of warning. Come to a complete stop at the stop sign, make my right turn. And then this first cop, he makes a right turn. No signal. He's not, because, I'm looking. I got my turn signal on. He doesn't have his turn signal on. So I'm thinking, okay, good. I'm going to lose him here naturally because I'm actually just making a right. I'm going to lose him here. He's going to go straight. I'm going to make a right. He made a right. He didn't signal. So now I'm thinking, oh, for crying out loud, I am cooked. This guy is going to, I don't know what it is. I don't know why but he's going to get me. There's no way. And then he made a U-turn. Yay! Made a U-turn and went away. So I am shook at this point in the morning, right? It's only like 9. It's like 9 o'clock in the morning at this point. I'm like shook. I'm like, what the hell? Why was he even, what did I didn't do? Look, no, maybe he wasn't even looking at me. He's probably just driving, right? But my guilty conscience, and that's the question. Why do I have a guilty conscience when I'm driving? I don't have any weed in my car. I don't have a 17-year-old hiding like a 40 of malt liquor between his legs. I'm not a kid anymore. I'm a grown adult. I've got insurance. What am I worried about? Anyway. So when he makes the U-turn, I have that endorphin rush. I mean, my brain, as soon as I see him make the U-turn, my brain goes, and I'm like, yeah. So I just keep driving. And I'm still cutting through because I'm trying to go to the Kroger. And then I come to an end of a block and I see three Highland Park Police SUVs. Now, I don't know that maybe one of them, maybe this is one of the guys that was just behind me. I don't know. He made a U-turn and went back another way. But I continued down the street. Now there's 3 Highland Park SUVs. And I pass by them and I come to a complete stop. And as I'm rolling through the stop sign, I see one of those 3 is now following me. What the hell? Holy shit, what is going on in Highland? He's following me. He pulled out directly behind me. I came to a complete stop. We are not half a mile removed from the trauma I just experienced from being followed by another Highland Park cop. And now I got this guy. Oh, now this one I started to panic. This one I'm like, what the hell, man? What is there? Do I, match a description in the Highland Park area? You don't like people in Chevy Malibus? What's going on here? So at this point, I did take evasive measures. We're at Highland Park Plaza, right there at Mockingbird and Preston, I believe it is. I ducked in there. I was like, this is nonsense. I'm just going to pretend like I'm going to the goddamn plaza. So I pulled in, parked right in front of the Tiffany, Tiffany jewelry, parked right in front of the Tiffany thing. And like I was valeting, like I turned right in and I was like, all right, right here. And I'm stopping. like I'm valeting, and the cop kept going. And he kept going. But now I'm in like a valet lane at Tiffany, and the guy starts coming, sir, can I take your Malibu? And I'm like, fuck off. And I just drove away and came home, and now we're here. So it's already been an incredibly needlessly stressful day for me. Let's see. Who else do we have in the chat room? Smee is here. Hi, Smee. Adam says, now imagine being brown or black in those situations, and you compound that stress. I don't know. Probably. I don't know. I've never had to. I've only had to imagine being a dirtbag white kid in the suburbs being followed by a cop. I had the strangest relationship with I had the strangest relationship with cops growing up as a kid. They were all my coaches, like in youth sports. So all of like my neighborhood cops as a young teenager, we knew all the cops. I mean, it was in a time where cops would sit with their air conditioning or whatever, and they just sit and watch people, and then kids on bikes. We'd ride our bikes up to the cop, and we'd hang out, and he'd put the window down, and we'd talk to him, and we'd feel the air conditioning coming from his police car. That was always kind of a cool thing. I mean, I had a good relationship with cops. Then high school came around. And my best friend's dad was like the most important cop. Like he was like the most. Two of my friends' dads, as a little kid, oh my God, I knew all the top cops. Anyway, point is this. While we had a really good relationship with them, and they all knew us, because as I said, my best friend's dad was like the top cop. They all knew us. We still ran from them, like keg parties and stuff get busted. We're still running from cops. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. This weird sort of complicated relationship that I have with cops. I come from a cop family. I know good cops and bad cops. I mean, I've heard cops talk about bad cops. I understand that there are good men in honorable positions, and then there are pieces of shit men in what should be otherwise honorable positions of authority. But, well, here's the other thing. And here's what I would say to Adam. You're probably right. If I was a darker color complexion, I probably would not cut through Highland Park as much as I do. But I'm a middle-aged white man. I pretty much, although I drive a Chevy Malibu, and that's got to be a red flag. Although probably not, because I used to think when I lived over on that side of the street, there's two sides of Mockingbird. One is University Park, SMU, which is where I am now. The other is Highland Park. When I lived over on the Highland Park side of things, I was at first very concerned about, just getting harassed because I had a car without estate plates, and it's not a fancy car in a super rich neighborhood. But then I realized really quickly that all of these real people, these rich people on a daily basis have worker people come to their house. The neighborhood is just lousy with piece of shit cars. Not that mine is a piece of shit. It's not. It's actually very nice. But it's not like, an $80,000 car. So if you drive a crappy car or a less than exotic car through Highland Park, you should be okay, because they'll just think you're there to clean the pool or give them an estimate on like some gutter repairs or something like that. So they'll let you pass. But Adam is right. It would definitely have upped my if I were a different color, I probably would have had different concerns. But as it is, I'm just a white man. And even I, with my exalted position in this civilized society, even I as a white man sometimes still get a little bit jittery whenever there's a cop behind me. Jeff says, Jeff's in the chat room, yesterday's executive producer. He says, yo, Liquid Lunch Friday at the campground. Good for you, having some fun. By the way, Jeff, yesterday, thank you for being our executive producer. Today's executive producer, the executive producer is the person who tips the most on the previous day's show. That executive producer today is, it's nobody. It's nobody. We haven't gotten a tip since Jeff all week. That's pretty much it. We have not done well at all this week. We're dying. So if you haven't tipped in a while, now would be a good time to drop just a little something. All right, because that's how this show runs. Again, I'll leave that up. There you go, because as I said, nobody is today's executive producer. Somebody please be an executive producer on Monday. We could definitely use the bump around these parts. All right, let's get started with the show, because we've got a big show and a lot of stuff to get into. It is the High Noon Rant. I am Pugs Moran. I will be performing a stream of consciousness now for you over the course of the next 2 hours. No stops, no breaks, no breaths, no commercials, no nothing. It is the 14th day of June, the 166th day of the year of our Lord 2024, should be mentioned. There are This can't be right. This is one of them. This is one of them magic days. Folks, how has 2024 been for you so far? How's 2024 been for you? It's been good? It's been okay? You have 200 days left to turn that around or to stave off something that's going to ruin it for you. 200 days left in the year. That's a big one. All right, let's get started with quarter one on today's show. It's Antecedently on This Day, where we talk about events that have helped shape our understanding of this day throughout history. Antecedently on this day in 1775, the Continental Army is established by the Continental Congress. This marks the birth of these here United States Armed Forces. Happy birthday, American military. It was on this day in 1775. On this day in 1777, the Second Continental Congress passes the Flag Act of 1777, adopting the Stars and Stripes as the flag of the United States. Hey, hey! Happy birthday, American flag. The coolest of all the flags. Now, I know I might be a little bit biased. What with being a super proud born-bred American and all that good stuff. But I think our flag is the coolest flag. I really do. You know, I'm Irish. I'm an Irishman. That's my ethnicity. And I look at the flag of Ireland and I think, what, guys, what are you doing here? The Irish people are supposed to be some of the most creative, the most lyrical, the most good with a pen, good with a word, good with a color, stylish. That's what the Irish people are known for. And that's the flag you guys come up with? It's 3 friggin' colors. I mean, I guess they might argue that, well, we were more interested in, staving down the oppressive British army than worrying about how the flag looked. That's why we instituted a woman. That's why we got, Betsy Ross was probably like, bugging people. She's like Lucy. Remember how Lucy always bugged Ricky about getting work at the club? I'm sure that's what Betsy Ross was. She's like, what can I do? I can do whatever. I want to help. Make a flag. You're good with throw pillows and stuff. Why don't you just... And on this day, we adopted our flag. A good one. And I will say this. The flag that they adopted on this day, the bicentennial flag, that's the cooler flag. That flag is actually cooler. The one we got now is mighty cool, with its 50 individual stars representing our states and our stripes representing the 13 colonies. But it was cooler. It was cooler back when it was like the circle. You remember? You had the blue square, you had the stripes, but then they were circle, like 13 colonies. That was cooler. I think that was cooler. Well, with success comes alteration, and we've had to alter the way our flag looks. It still looks badass. Still better than Mexico. What are you guys doing? Mexico. Oh, wait a second, though. Mexico has a cool little golden eagle thing in the middle, doesn't it? Isn't that Mexico? Mexico's got just like 3 colors, but then also there's like some cool accoutrement on there somewhere. Anyway, a lot of bad flags out there, and on this day, we presented the world with the coolest one in history. Flag of these here United States. Brits got a cool flag. I think that our flag is kind of stolen from the Brits flag, right? The Union Jack, that British flag. That what? First of all, the Brits have like multiple flags, don't they? Isn't there like a flag for England and a flag for the United Kingdom? Don't there like 2 different flags? I don't know. Whatever. Ours is still the coolest. Antecedently on this day in 1789, mutiny on the Bounty. That's right. All that went down. HMS Bounty mutiny survivors, including Captain William Bligh and 18 others, reached Timor after a nearly 7,400 kilometer and 4,000 mile journey in an open boat. So Mutiny on the Bounty. Every year we do this, and I mentioned this. Mutiny on the Bounty when I was little was one of my favorite books. I thought that was such a cool book. No idea it was a real event. Thought it was fiction. Thought it was total fiction. It wasn't. Mutiny on the Bounty was real. Antecedently on this day in 1937 in Pennsylvania, they became the first and only state of these here United States to celebrate Flag Day. That's right, Flag Day. Good for you, Pennsylvania. Antecedently on this day in 1949, Albert II rides a V-2 rocket to an altitude of 183 miles, thereby becoming the first mammal in space. The first mammal in space. King Albert II. He was a rhesus monkey. we shot him up there. We strapped him to the back of a V2 rocket just to see what would happen. And here's what, before that, they had set up fireflies. Like they sent up a bunch of fireflies in a rocket, and they sent it up to space, and the rocket came down, it came crashing down, and the fireflies survived. So they're like, hey, fireflies can make it. So next they went, what if we do a monkey? And they stuck a monkey in there, and that was Albert II. And Albert II got shot up into space, and they say because they were monitoring him that he was alive in space, that he was fine. I don't know if he had like oxygen or anything. I don't know how far along they were in the process. But anyway, everything went to shit when the parachute didn't open on re-entry and it crashed into the ground and Albert died. He lived a short life, but he was a monkey in space, and there ain't a whole lot of monkeys that can say that. Hell, there ain't a whole lot of people who can say that. At that point, there were no people who could say that. On this day in 1949. Albert II, first monkey in space. First monkey death upon re-entry in space too. Although I imagine the Russians probably killed a lot of monkeys. Antecedently on this day in 1954, U.S. President Dwight David Eisenhower signs a bill into law that places the words "under God" into the United States Pledge of Allegiance. So let's just make sure we acknowledge this. Founding fathers, you always get into these arguments with people. Anybody who studied Jefferson knows that Jefferson had a very complicated relationship with Christianity, as did John Adams, as did any number of them. Ben Franklin was a goddamn atheist. So, whenever we get into these arguments about, the whole God thing, which I don't indulge in those arguments. That's a word. You need that word to feel better about yourself. Good for you, man. That's not a problem. You can have that word. I don't give a shit. I'm an American citizen. You can put under God in there. But just don't act like it was like the intention of the founding fathers that we be a more Christian-centric nation, because that's not the deal at all. That's not what they wanted. They made strides in every direction to attempt to distance themselves from that kind of shit. And in 1954 is when, the Christian stuff all started to make its way. And that's great. There is a large and loud portion of the American population who are good Christian folk. I have no problem with honoring our diverse cultures. Under God, if you want that, I don't care. That's fine. Just don't start educating my kid with tax dollars based on shit from the Bible. That's where I draw the line. Not about under God on money or in the Pledge of Allegiance. Hell, that's fine. That's the kind people draw comfort from that. Why are you pushing back on shit that people draw comfort from? If you don't draw comfort from it, then it doesn't matter to you at all. Again, I always like to say, somebody else getting taller doesn't make me smaller, okay? I'm still the same size, regardless of how they do. Antecedently on this day in 1994, I love this story. In 1994, the Vancouver Canucks lost to the New York Rangers. It was a very big deal, and history has almost exclusively focused this Stanley Cup on how great it was for the Rangers. Rangers winning a Stanley Cup after years and years and years. Oh, the New York fans, they haven't won in so long. And that was the big deal. However, what we really ought to be talking about is what happened after the game. And what happened after the game in Vancouver was that the people of Vancouver rioted. The hockey hooligans in Vancouver in 1994 rioted. They tore the town apart. They broke windows. They burned cars. People got hurt. It was insane. That was 1994 on this day, the Vancouver Stanley Cup riot. Now, fast forward, I want to say 2015. I think it was 2000. There is a brand new, I don't know if it's brand new. There was a relatively new 30 for 30, I think it is. If you have the ESPN access to all the 30 for 30s, you can watch this. I watched this with my son last weekend, 2 weekends ago. It's a 30 for 30 called I Just Came Here for the Riot. And it is so good. It is really a good 30 for 30 because it concerns the 2015. I don't even know if it's 2015. It might be 2009. I'm not sure. Don't hold me to it. But what I'm saying is recently there was another Stanley Cup loss in Vancouver and the people rioted again for the second time. This documentary concerns the more recent one, but it draws heavily. It informs you all about this one that occurred on this day in 1994 and how the people of Vancouver were basically just like, yeah, we rioted before, we're going to riot again. And how the police were like, the people aren't going to riot. And the people did riot. And once again, they burned down downtown Vancouver because the Vancouver Canucks lost another Stanley Cup. Anyway, it was on this day in 1994. The first one occurred. And if you're looking for something fun to watch this weekend, watch the 30 for 30. I only came here for the riot, which is about Vancouver hockey riots. It's very good. All right, keep it moving. Antecedently on this day in 2017, U.S. Republican House Majority Whip Steve Scalise of Louisiana and 3 others are shot and wounded while practicing for the annual congressional baseball game. Woo! You remember this? Holy cow, 7 years later, Steve Scalise seems to be all right. You know, when they prop him out in front of the cameras, he talks, he stands, he walks, he moves. He seems like he's all right. But that dude just took a couple to the chest while playing like in the infield. This is a horrible thing. Just some dude opened up a bunch of congressional softball game, bunch of congressmen and their aides and staffers. They get together, they play a little softball. It's a nice thing. It's a bipartisan thing. Some dude shows up and just opens fire on the field. That is messed up. On this day in 2017. All right, there you go. Buonam. They say it's their birthday. Let's talk about some people celebrating birthdays today as we move into quarter 2 of today's extravaganza. Born on this day, born? Yeah, born. Okay, we're going. Yeah, this is born. Okay. Born on this day in 1946, Robert Louis Dreyfus. Yeah, that's right. At what point, one of the 5 wealthiest men in the world. He's a French and Swiss businessman, and yes, he is the first cousin of Julia Louis Dreyfus. Julia Louis Dreyfus, I'm telling you, she is one of the most connected people. You want to talk about Illuminati in Hollywood? Let's start with Julia Louis Dreyfus. She took a pay cut when she, became a big movie star, basically. Her billionaire French family. It goes way back in French history. Robert Louis Dreyfus, born on this day in 1946. He dead, though. That's unfortunate. He died in 2009. Probably some exotic skiing accident in the Alps or something. Born on this day in 1946, 45th president of these here United States, Donald John Trump. American businessman, television personality. Got a lot I can say about this guy, but it's not that kind of a show. Born on this day in 1961, Boy George. Yes. Good Lord, Boy George. Yeah. I mentioned Boy George yesterday. We were talking about it was Michael Jackson. I said when Michael Jackson was acquitted on his sex charges, and I talked about how Michael Jackson set the weird bar super high, and that was not easy to do because there were a lot of weirdos in pop music, and I name checked Boy George. Boy George having a birthday today. What can I say about Boy George? Gender bending decades before gender bending was cool. Culture Club was good. I'll say that. I'll stand on that hill. That band was good. They were jazzy. They were smooth. They weren't like a rock band. Culture Club was good. Do You Really Want to Hurt Me? That's a good, smooth-ass song, man. When you just want to chill. That's bubble bath music, too, be sure. But also pretty good. Time? Oh, come on. I'll tumble for you. Boy George, Culture Club. Nothing wrong with them. Born on this day in 1969, Steffi Graf, German tennis player. We fell off a cliff here with birthdays today. We're at 1969. It's Steffi Graf. What am I going to say about her? Is she married to Andre Agassi? Aren't they trying to create like a super race of tennis players? Did the Steffi Graf, Andre Agassi kids ever turn into anything? Because they're actually, now that I think about it, their kids are probably in their 30s. I guess they didn't turn into super tennis prodigies. Steffi Graf, born on this day in 1969. And then 1970, Heather McDonald. This is it. We got to get out of the birthdays. When I'm stretching it for Heather McDonald, who's a real irritating comedian. Ugh. God. Her whole vibe is just such a bleh. I just don't like her. Heather, I think she used to be on Chelsea lately. I've seen her do stand-up. I'm just not my style. Not my style. She's a little bit too pretentious. She's a very, the Hollywood. She's very I don't know. I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like it. Oh, Pugs, you just don't like female comedians, dude. Well, are you new to this thing? I've been championing great female comedians my entire life. I don't play that game. It's not that I don't think female comedians aren't funny. I think that some of the best comedians out there are females. I think Elijah Schlesinger is one of the funniest chicks out there. I think that Nikki Glazer's having herself a moment. Sarah Silverman's one of my favorite stand-up comedians of all time. Don't tell me. And I don't like women. It ain't a woman thing. It's a Heather McDonald thing. Anyway, happy birthday to her. Heather McDonald. I think I had a bad thing with her once. I don't know what it is, but she seems like the type that was doing radio a lot back in the day and was probably high maintenance. All right, let's move on. Yeah, Frank says Eliza is from Dallas. Eliza is from Highland Park. I believe Eliza is a Hockaday girl. Hockaday is a very private school here for snobby girls. All right, let's get into the deads. These are the people who've died. These are the people who've died. We open up their life's resume and we take a look at it and we try and be fair, but we sentence them either to heaven or hell. One or the other. Dead on this day. 1801. It's a complicated one. Dead on this day on 1801. Isn't it ironic that this man died on the very day, the anniversary of the founding of the United States military, an organization, an institution that this man thought so little of? Just cast it aside. No honor to be found in the soul of Benedict Arnold, who was born on this day. Benedict Arnold. Now, I say it's complicated here because you got to open up and you got to look at how did Benedict Arnold become a general? How did Benedict Arnold become one of George Washington's best friends? How did Benedict Arnold secure his spot at the table when all the biggest decisions of the Revolutionary War were being made? It's because there was a time when Benedict Arnold was a pretty good general. That's right. The hero of Fort, is it Saratoga? Is it Saratoga or Ticonderoga? Ticonderoga. Whatever. Him and, I don't know, let's say Patrick Henry. Him and Patrick Henry, they did something. Ethan Allen. I think it's Ethan Allen, actually, now that I check my notes with my American Revolutionary War history. He was a hero. He did stuff, man. He was good. And then he didn't get paid for a whole long time. And, they were like, look, you got to understand, we're at war with the people who cut the checks. There's going to be a disruption in the payroll process, Benedict. You just got to hang tight and, keep good records and we'll get you your money at the end of the war. And that's what they kept telling Benedict Arnold. But you see, Benedict Arnold, he married a fancy Philadelphia society lady whose loyalties were kind of to the crown. So that was already a problem, but she was hot. Her name was Peggy. She was the hottest chick in Philadelphia, and she was a society girl. And as I said, her family very, very tied to the crown. But whatever, didn't stop him. Benedict Arnold, he married Peggy, and Peggy started going, you can't afford to keep me in the lifestyle of which my father has bred me. She was like a fancy girl, and he started getting angrier and angrier, and she started to pull away. And he's like, my God, I'm going to lose my hot wife. So at a dinner party, he was introduced to some British royalists. And Benedict Arnold started getting paid by the Brits. He betrayed the American Revolution, and therefore, regardless of what he did at Fort Ticonderoga, he goes to hell. It's Flag Day, and it's the anniversary of the military. He's going to hell. We ain't putting Benedict Arnold in heaven. The man's name has become synonymous with betrayal in this country. I can't justify in any way, shape, or form placing him with someone like Henry Mancini, who died on this day in 1994. We're going to put Henry Mancini in heaven. You know why? Because Henry Mancini just made music. Oh, sure, it was lame cornball music. Although, was it? I don't know. Pink Panther's pretty cool. Before John Williams made every bit of music for films, there was Henry Mancini. Dude was prolific, man. And then the guy, back when, instrumental shit could chart because people were rolled around in their cars listening to orchestra music, back then, he was on the radio all the time. Henry Mancini is a huge, huge part of American musical history. So we're going to put Henry Mancini in heaven. For the Pink Panther. Come on, Henry Mancini. All right, let's put this guy in hell. This next guy's going to hell. He died on this day in 2007. Ladies and gentlemen, former president of Austria. Was he president or what do they call him? He was also Secretary General of the United Nations. Ladies and gentlemen, Kurt Waldheim. Kurt Waldheim. He was a Nazi. This guy was a Nazi. He fell through the cracks. Dude fell through the cracks. He was a Nazi. Fell through the cracks. Just kind of like, you know that meme of Homer Simpson back into the bushes? And he's like disappearing. That's kind of what Kurt Waldheim did while everybody else was being put on trial. He ended up, just working with the new people, and he rose and he became president of Austria. He became Secretary General of the United Nations. He was a Nazi. Don't kid yourself. Hold on, wait a second. Let me check something here. Let's see. Diplomat, Secretary General, President of Austria, while he's running later in office, the revolution. Let's see here. Yes, so he was Secretary General of the United Nations from 72 to 81. He was President of Austria from 86 to 92. While he was running for the President of Austria in the 1986 election, the revelation of his service in Greece and Yugoslavia and his participation in Nazi atrocities as an intelligence officer in the Nazis' Wehrmacht. The dude was a Nazi spy. And we made him, he just fell through the cracks. It's like we figured we got all the big names, and this dude, 30 years later, he just becomes president of, no, not even, the bigger job, president of Austria. Gives a shit. President of Austria is nothing. He was Secretary General of the United Nations, and he was a friggin' Nazi. And everybody was just like, hey, he's been around forever. He knows people. Got a great Rolodex. Kurt Waldheim, you go to hell. All right, that's going to do it for the first 3 quarters of today's show. Let's see here. Once again, the executive producer of today's show is nobody. Not a goddamn tip all week. But that's okay. We keep going. Hey, I make ramen for a reason for artists. All right, let's get into all of the things that are happening today. Let's run through the hot topics, the current events, the trends, everything people are buzzing about. First and foremost, all right, let's okay, so that we can jump around here. I do some global stuff here at the beginning just to get our feet wet. So Israel is saber rattling again. They're done. They took their eye off of Gaza and all that, but now they're looking at Hezbollah. It's got a lot of people upset because Hezbollah is the ruling party up there. Now, I don't know if they're the ruling party. All I'm saying is they're the big bad thug organization that hangs out in Lebanon. Okay, so you got Beirut now getting involved. Hezbollah has been causing problems since the beginning of the Israeli-Gaza war. If you think of it like this, Israel is way down south, and they're attacking, Gaza from the south. That's basically where all that stuff is happening. But then way up in the north, that's where, the country borders with Lebanon. Well, there you got Beirut, and they've just been lobbing bombs, and they've been just being little pests. And then recently, they've sort of stepped up their aggressions against Israeli forces. So the Israeli forces are actually fighting on 2 fronts at the moment, and with the possibility of a third front opening up if shit starts going haywire on the West Bank. But right now, we're just talking about Gaza. Now we're looking at Hezbollah. Now, Israel has been relatively subdued in the way they've dealt with Hezbollah to this point. Well, to this morning. Israeli is threatening large-scale attacks on Hezbollah, saying that the attacks can be imminent. So they're like, yeah, by the way, this weekend, we might open up a big-ass nuke. You thought we carpet bomb the people of Gaza. Get ready, people of Beirut, because the Israeli army is coming. All right, so that's that. So now we got to work on a peace process for that. So let's move on to the other topic. What's going on with the peace deal? Blinken's been over there troubadouring it up, playing open mic gigs all across the Middle East all week, trying to get, some kind of deal, this big Biden peace deal. Biden's got a plan. He's gonna bring the Israelis and the Gazanians. He's gonna bring them together. And Blinken's over there trying to sell the deal. Well, he sold it effectively enough to Netanyahu. Netanyahu took a bite. He's like, "I'll go. We got it." And so then they gave it back to the Gazanians. And the Gazanians, they sent back yesterday, nope, not good enough. We need 2 changes. And one of the changes, Americans say, Pentagon officials, if you will, Secretary, State Department officials, I guess would be the appropriate way. We're saying that one of the things that they asked about changing, we can work with. The other thing, non-starter deal is dead. Biden said today he still has hope that it can be resurrected, but as it stands, as it was 48 hours ago when we all had hope for this Biden plan, no, it seems like there's a non-starter that the Gazinians are requesting. But that's okay. That's okay, because we're about to light up Beirut. Here we go. Let's all focus on Beirut. Also, Biden, he's over there at the G7. We talked about our 7 besties, our 7 best friends. We're over there with them hanging out. Let's see. What did he do? The big deal last night was that Biden and Zelensky, so it's Biden and Ukraine, it's America and Ukraine, have signed a 10-year security deal. Don't know what that means, but the people in the Ukraine seem to be happy about it. So here we go. Biden and Zelensky signed a 10-year security deal. I don't know what that means. In other Biden news, he's being asked about a whole bunch of things, as you can imagine. Biden. He was asked about the Hunter thing, the Hunter situation. Of course, Hunter Biden was convicted on all charges. What was it? Well, yeah, he was 3. Was it 3 gun charges? He was convicted on 3 gun charges earlier in the week. And if you've been listening to this show with any regularity, you've been hearing me tell you exactly what's going to happen, which is that Biden is the president of the United States and his son ain't going to jail. I don't know what that means. Now, I've been saying pardon. I'm like, pardon? Of course Biden's going to pardon him. Biden's going to say he's not going to pardon him. I'm not going to pardon him. I'm not going to pardon him. He's going to pardon him. He's not going to let his son go to jail. It's just not going to happen. So I guess now that goalpost has been moved, and maybe it hasn't been moved. Maybe I just don't know proper legalese. But they're talking about commutation. So whatever it is, Biden is not going to let his kid go to prison. So yesterday he was asked directly about it, and Biden said that no, he has no plans for pardon. He has no plans for a commutation, and that his opinion is that the legal system did its job and that it was adjudicated fairly and properly. And for that, he is proud to be an American. That's what he says now. Now, of course, he ain't going to jail till after the election. They're gonna like, slow roll the sentencing and all this kind of stuff. And then, of course, even if Biden loses, he's gonna be a lame duck and he's gonna pardon his son. He ain't going to jail, folks. Dude, if Biden loses, he's pardoning his son because fuck it, I'm not president anymore and I'm 110. And if Biden wins, he's pardoning his son because fuck it, I can't run again anyway. So don't give me this. He's saying he isn't. He's going to pardon him. He's going to pardon him. Also, big news today. Here's some really big news. This just came across this morning. It's got people all a tizzy on the social medias. Bump stocks. Remember those pesky things? The cool, handy little tool, the cool, handy little killing tool that the Las Vegas shooter used to make sure he could gun down as many people at that country western concert that they wanted. I don't know what a bump stock is. I'm not a gun guy. I will defend your Second Amendment right, and I believe that there is a reasonable conversation to be had about changes to current gun laws, but I don't know about the bump stock thing. I don't know about something that is just simply created so that you can turn a semi-automatic weapon into, and not fully automatic. I'm not going to use that terminology. I don't know, because some of you know better than me. And then suddenly I have to deal with a bunch of people in the chat room talking about guns with the specificity of somebody who spent like 5 tours in Afghanistan. And I don't want to do that. My point is this: it doesn't seem necessary. And it seems like something the crazy people might use to sort of advance their crazy person cause. So for that reason, I've always been like, okay, they got rid of bump stocks. Congress banned them, made them illegal after the Las Vegas Mirage or Mandalay Bay hotel shooting. Well, there's always some lawyer out there who's going to try and, make hay out of whatever he can. So the issue of bump stocks made it all the way to the Supreme Court. Guess what? The Supreme Court rules that a ban on gun bump stocks is unlawful. The ban was imposed by the Trump administration after the accessory was used during the 2017 mass shooting in Las Vegas. Now, isn't this just the way of our world? The Biden administration's upset about this. Biden administration is like, we don't need bump stocks. The Trump administration are the people who originally said, yeah, we don't need bump stocks. So you've got the one issue that both of these highly polarized bases of people, we've got the one issue that both of them theoretically support and have come together on, and the fucking Supreme Court is who decides, nah, you're both wrong. We don't need bump stocks. We don't need them. For what? What? Come on, man. What do you need them for? What is so important in your life that you're willing to risk your crazy cousin Cooter getting a hold of one of these and taking out an entire carnival? Come on. In a loss for the Biden and Trump administrations, the Supreme Court ruled Friday that a federal ban on bump stocks, gun accessories that allow semi-automatic rifles to fire more quickly, is unlawful. In a 6-3 ruling, with the court's conservatives in the majority, the court held that an almost 100-year-old law aimed at banning machine guns cannot legitimately be interpreted to include bump stocks. Writing for the majority, Justice Clarence Thomas said that a firearm equipped with the accessory does not meet the definition of a machine gun under federal law, so the ban is not lawful. Okay, go out and get your bump stocks while you still can. I don't know what you're going to need them for. You're just going to rip the shit out of them cans in your backyard, aren't you? All right, let's go. Elon Musk is in the news today, a weird little creature. Now, again, I have a complicated relationship with Elon Musk. I think he's a weird little creature in just about every aspect of his existence, except where it pertains to where I need him to be a weird little creature. And that is his SpaceX stuff. We like Elon's SpaceX stuff. That's where we need his weird little creature brain and money focused. Not on Twitter. I don't need him involved. He's so weird. He's such a weird guy. Anyway, Elon Musk, maybe you remember, I mentioned this a couple of weeks back. Elon Musk was up for a big shareholder package, right? He's the guy, the shareholders of Tesla. They get together and they go, how much are we going to pay him this year? Well, he wanted $56 billion. That's what Tesla, which has had nothing but problems. I mean, maybe the major global corporation more maligned than Tesla at the moment is possibly Boeing. But, Tesla is right there. So from the Tesla shareholders, Elon Musk was asking $56 billion. $56 billion. And there was all kinds of talk about how they weren't going to give it to him because of the problems that Tesla is having. And because, the advancement of the electric vehicle hasn't met the promises of a young, brash Elon Musk of 15 years ago. And people are starting to question whether or not, and he's looking for $56 billion. And that could look to a lot of people, especially those hearing the rumors about how he wants to distance himself from Tesla and focus almost exclusively on his SpaceX and boring company. They're thinking maybe he's just looking for a big payday and he's going to get out and he's going to be gone. So there was some talk. Was he going to get his $56 billion? Don't worry, he did. After all that bullshit, they just gave him $56 billion. So congratulations to you, Elon Musk. He's lost almost $100 billion of his wealth over the past 18 months. It's gone up and down. I mean, he's back to where he was, but almost $100 billion this dude has lost. $100 billion. There was a time not too long ago in this country when it was unthinkable that any single person could have $100 million. Now there's a whole bunch of people with over $100 million, like Larry Ellison, who is our next story. Larry Ellison. We know Larry Ellison. We talked about Larry Ellison, and actually we talked about his kids. Larry Ellison is the founder of Oracle and one of the wealthiest people on the planet. His kids, he's got two kids that wanted to be in the movies. Neither of them had any talent, so instead of being actors, one tried to be an actor. Larry Ellison's oldest son. He tried to be an actor, and it didn't work out for him, and he didn't instantly become Tom Cruise. So, Silver Spoon billionaire kid, he was like, I'm just going to buy the industry. So he did. So Larry Ellison's kid formed Skydance, which is one of the biggest players in film production out there, Skydance. And he's got another daughter. She wanted to be an actress, but she formed her own company as well. Annapurna. Anyway, my point is this. Larry Ellison's kids, they're basically cornering Hollywood. Hold on. Did I lose the story? There it is. But that's okay because Larry Ellison yesterday, he woke up yesterday $14 billion richer. Now, that ain't the Elon Musk single swoop payday of $56 billion, but $14 billion Larry Ellison made overnight while he slept. That catapulted him to the, what is it? He's now it's a big story about him. I don't know how it happened. I guess the stock market went nuts on something that he's involved in, like the AI thing or something. I don't know. Oracle. What does Oracle do? I have no idea. Oracle's founder and largest shareholder, Larry Ellison, has jumped 2 spots on the Bloomberg Billionaires Index after a tech behemoth posted a bumper outlook this week. Only yesterday, Ellison's net worth was a mere $138 billion. But overnight, that left $14 billion to $152 billion, making the 79-year-old fifth largest, okay, let's say fifth wealthiest person in the world. It's good to be rich, not so good to be pining for tips, but good to be Larry Ellison, good to be Elon Musk. All right, now let's talk about a story that has been circulating, a story that got my hackles up, folks. You want to see a little bit of performative outrage? Well, it's coming your way, I promise you. So yesterday, the birthday boy, we'll call him the birthday boy. So yesterday, the birthday boy, I don't know, he just gets up on stage and he like spews vomit. Yeah, he just like talks. He's not very, that's what's great about him, actually. That's why you want to watch him speak. Because it's like me. It's just like a stream of consciousness. And he didn't have any guardrails. He just goes wherever it takes him. He's a performer. He's like a comic on stage working out material. Anyway, the birthday boy. He gets up yesterday. He starts shitting on Milwaukee. Now, Milwaukee is the home to the Republican National Convention, and he's going to be the star of the Republican National Convention if he goes, because now they're saying he's not going to go. Who is this guy? Are you guys fucking running Axl Rose as your presidential now? What do you mean he's not going to go? He's not going to show up? Fucking kidding me? Come on. Anyway, dude starts talking shit on Milwaukee. Now, I can abide a whole lot. I don't talk about Trump. I don't talk about Biden other than to say, is Biden okay? I mean, that's pretty much the extent of how I talk about either of these guys. But that ends today because, I'm a gentleman and I can abide all kinds of things that I hear coming from this man's mouth. I can contain myself because I don't care. Whatever. He can say what he wants. But I'm not going to let him break bad on Milwaukee. Ladies and gentlemen, a strident defense of Milwaukee. Trump gets up and he goes, Milwaukee's a shithole or something like that. I don't know. He said something like that. He's like, we're having the RNC here. Milwaukee's a shithole. And now everybody in Milwaukee's mad. Everybody in Milwaukee's like, fuck that guy. First of all, Wisconsin, he kind of needs Wisconsin. Wisconsin's one of those important, this could be an own goal. Milwaukee. People love Milwaukee. This is like not good. So whatever. So let's forget about what he said. Let me tell you about Milwaukee, okay? And I'm going to tell you about Milwaukee from one of the few people who aren't from Milwaukee who's allowed to talk about Milwaukee. You want to know who those people are? The people who are allowed to talk about Milwaukee are people from Chicago, people from Detroit, people from Green Bay, and people from Minneapolis. That's it. Those are the only people. If you are a short car ride away from Milwaukee, you know what Milwaukee is, and you're able to talk about it. So when you hear somebody like the birthday boy going, Milwaukee's a shithole, these are the people you need to be listening to, not the people of Milwaukee. Everybody loves their shithole. If you're from a shithole, you're like, my shithole's not that bad. Listen to the people who use Milwaukee the way the people of those cities that I just mentioned use Milwaukee, primarily Minneapolis and Chicago. Let's talk about that. How do we feel about Milwaukee? Well, as a Chicagoan, I can tell you that Milwaukee is our slow-witted little brother. That's who we are. We are Chicago. We are big. We are powerful. We think we're cool. We have hot girlfriends. We were athletes in high school. And then Milwaukee is like our little brother who's like 3 years younger than us. And he's not the quarterback. He went out for the team. He made the team because, his big brother Chicago was. And then there's Minneapolis. That's like our sister, and she's kind of hot. She's like hot and new and sexy and glass. And, just really kind of, Minneapolis is a very nice city. I don't know if you've ever been to the Twin Cities, but it's very nice. And then you got Milwaukee. And here's what Milwaukee is. Milwaukee is, okay, so from the perspective of someone from Chicago, it's very similar to the way people in Dallas view Fort Worth. There might be a rivalry there, but it's so close. It's right up the lake. We'll just drive up and go to Milwaukee. So we make fun of Milwaukee, our slow-witted little brother. And, we say things like, oh, Wisconsin and Milwaukee, it leads America in, alcoholism and morbid obesity. But honestly, those are fun things. Fat people who like to eat and be drunk, those are fun things. Milwaukee is an incredible city. Milwaukee is not a city to be shit on by some dude who lives in Trump Tower. Quite frankly, he shouldn't be shitting on Milwaukee. Milwaukee is the home of Laverne and Shirley. Milwaukee is the home of Liberace. Milwaukee is the home of, okay, so I don't know, Robin Yount. Okay, so I don't know a whole bunch of other people. Giannis. Milwaukee is cool, man. Again, from the perspective of a Chicagoan who takes great pride in shitting on Milwaukee whenever they can, we're allowed to. Again, Detroit's allowed to shit on Milwaukee. Chicago's allowed to shit on Milwaukee. Minneapolis is allowed to shit on Milwaukee. Green Bay is allowed to shit on Milwaukee. Nobody else, because we actually like Milwaukee when push comes to shove. You want to know something about Milwaukee? First of all, it's a beautiful city. It's right there on the lake. Buildings are all like old timey. Like imagine if there was just like a massive coastline on Fort Worth. Imagine that. That's Milwaukee. You got a problem with that? It's fucking beautiful. Secondly, you like music? Milwaukee basically invented the music festival. Milwaukee has been doing a thing called Summerfest since the 1960s. And let me tell you how popular this is. Milwaukee was so successful with Summerfest that Chicago had to invest millions and millions of dollars into doing something called First Chicago Fest, then Taste of Chicago, and now Lollapalooza, just to compete with our little slow-witted brother Milwaukee, who every summer throws a party that would, make Burning Man people blush. How about Summerfest in Milwaukee? They did it. Oh, you can have your Coachellas and your Bonnaroos. Your Lollapaloozas. They did it first. Milwaukee. Beer. Come on, Milwaukee. Good food. Really good food. It's so close to Chicago that you still have all of the really good ethnic food. Like if you get pizza in Milwaukee, you're getting really good pizza because it's just so close. The food is amazing in Milwaukee. And then you get into all the cheese and German shit that they do up there. Now let's talk about the good people of Milwaukee. And this is really where I need to come to bat for, because, Trump couldn't be more wrong. Yes, the people of Wisconsin are big, fat, slow, and drunk, but we love them. We love the people of Wisconsin. They will always help you tow your jet ski when it breaks down in one of their lakes. They'll always hold a door open for you as you're going into the local liquor store to buy the last bag of ice. The townies, which is what basically everybody who lives in Milwaukee or Wisconsin is seen by people from Chicago. The townies are wonderful people. Even if we do see them as slow-witted. What else can I say about Milwaukee? Man, I can tell you this, that there's a handful of experiences in my life. And a lot of them concern Milwaukee, Wisconsin. A lot of them being a teenager and going up to Summerfest every summer. Let's look at KB. Well, I wasn't even looking at the chat room. KB and I, we used to run through Wisconsin. We used to run through Milwaukee back in the days. All right, Kevin. I didn't feel the need to talk about how they let you lick their tits for $20. Milwaukee is awesome, and I will not stand to have someone from the outside of that region come in and take a shit on the city of Milwaukee. Milwaukee is awesome. Shittle crime? No, is anybody afraid to go to Milwaukee? I'll tell you this, ain't nobody from Chicago afraid to go to Milwaukee. Milwaukee ain't dangerous. I don't worry about that. Milwaukee is awesome. That's all I have to say on it. Now, if Milwaukee ever comes to me and goes, hey, man, Chicago, I just want to say that was nice stuff that you said about us when Trump went bad on it. I'll deny it. I'll be like, shut up, you idiot. I never said that about you. because that's how we can. Because see, when you're close like that, when it's your slow-witted little brother, you're allowed to be as mean as you want to your slow-witted little brother, but other people are not. Milwaukee is awesome, and that's enough of that. Yeah, Kevin name checks the Safe House. The Safe House was a bar. Kevin and I and a bunch of our other friends, one of my friend who just passed away this week, Mike. We used to go every summer. Well, not every summer. You know what is every summer when you're a teenager? Like 2-3 summers in a row. But it was an annual trip that we would all do, and there was we weren't 21. We weren't 21, but it's the thing about Milwaukee. It's why Milwaukee's awesome. Milwaukee doesn't bust balls on IDs and stuff. At least not back in the 1980s. And there was a bar in Milwaukee called the Safe House. And for some reason, I don't know, we went there. We were told that's the one you could go, you could get in there. You'll get in there. So we went, that's like the first like grown-up bar that we were like 17 years old, 18 years old, drinking in the Safe House in Milwaukee, staying in a Hyatt Regency hotel, like right around the block. 17. Now that I think about it, we had a couple of friends who I think were like 19, 20, because someone had to have checked us into the hotel, because you couldn't check into a hotel if you weren't 18. Maybe some of us were 18, but I know I was 17. I know that. My birthday was in July, so we probably went before my birthday. But anyway, the point is this. The Safe House in Milwaukee, years and years later, now there's a couple other ones. There's one in Chicago. They opened a Safe House in Chicago, and crazy as it may seem, it's my 15-year-old son and my favorite restaurant in Chicago. We go all the time to the Safe House. Safe House is a bar and restaurant. It's kind of a theme bar and restaurant, but it's supposed to be. It's like what's the theme? Cold War spy, Cold War espionage, James Bond, that kind of stuff. So everything in this restaurant is all spies and CIA. It's very cool. It's called the Safe House. Very cool. Oh, Kevin, what was the bit about the Safe House? Isn't there a thing like you can't just walk in? Like it's one of these deals where doesn't look like a restaurant. You walk down the street and it looks like a shoe store or something. And you walk into the shoe store and there's a person sitting there behind a desk right when you walk in. And then you got to give them a password. Like there's a password. And then like they say, oh, you know the password. And then like a bookcase opens up and it's this giant like spy-themed restaurant. Safe House. Didn't they have plastic cups? Kevin? Weren't we collecting plastic cups from the Safe House? Like we thought, we're grown-ups. We're like drunkenly walking down a street in Milwaukee at 2 a.m. with like 15 plastic Safe House cups. No, we don't look like a bunch of underage drinkers. No, we're grown-ups. All right, Milwaukee is awesome, and Trump needs to shut up about it. Love Milwaukee. I also love Mexico. However, this is a freaky story, man. Did you hear this story about this Texas couple? I think they're from El Paso. Lovely, young, married couple. They go down to Mexico, which we all have. I mean, hell, we're here in Dallas. I feel like I can walk to a Mexican resort if I really needed to. I know I can't, but especially not in this 105-degree temperature. But it's close. So it's common for us to just, buzz off for a weekend to Cancun or something from here. These people did that. Mexican resort, Texas couple ID'd after victims of electrocution. They were at a resort and they jumped in a hot tub. And they were the only people in the hot tub. And the hot tub was electrified somehow. One of them died. One of them's in critical condition. I don't know what the update is. This is a story from yesterday. But the husband was killed. Here's how they were found. Somebody else at the resort. By the way, there's video. I'm going to show you video. I'm not going to show you video of the actual moment that it occurs, but I'm going to show you video of when they were discovered. This wasn't like late at night and it was only them and they got into the hot tub. This is like the sun is out. There's kids running around. There's people in the pool a couple of feet away. And somebody walks up to the hot tub and they put their foot in to get into the hot tub and they get shocked and they jump back. And then they realize that there are two people in the hot tub and they aren't moving. And that's where this video picks up from. Now, if you're disturbed by this kind of thing, I warn you, there is no actual, gratuitous It's the whole situation is disturbing. So what you're going to be seeing here is somebody who begins recording after the bodies are discovered. It's from a distance, but you can see the level of concern that is going on here. And my God, if you've ever been one of these Mexican resorts, just place yourself in this. I mean, we've been here, right? This is not. So here we go. Let's watch this. This is video. I'll tell you about the couple. Here it is. Yeah, you're damn right. It's graphic. The two people who were electrocuted at a Mexican resort hot tub have now been identified, and sadly, one of them has died as a result of the incident. George Guillen and his wife, Lizette Zambrano of El Paso, Texas. Here we go. Sorry. Hold on. I'm just going to try and. Come on.
Start live streaming today.
Commercial.
Try now.
All right, so here's what we're looking at here. So this is that's that you see the pool and you see the hot tub. Okay, here's the hot tub. Here's the pool. These are all people. It looks like it's sunset. These are all people just hanging out by the pool. There are 2 dead bodies in this hot tub, or 1 dead body. One has survived as of today. But here, watch this. Okay, you know what? That's enough for me. I don't need to see any more of that. That's enough for me. You can find that video. It's out there. Dude, that's what I mean. That's what when I keep telling you, man, put down all this petty bullshit. Put down there, I ain't talking to that guy. That guy's a dick. Stop all of that nonsense, man. A piece of frozen shit from an airplane could fall through your roof in the next breath and kill you instantly. Life is too short. These people were on vacation. They were having the time of their life. They jump into a hot tub and now one of them's a widow. That's what life is. Life is about all of these moments and not taking one goddamn second for granted. And every time you get bogged down in bullshit where you're mad at somebody or hating on somebody or you're angry about something, fuck you, man. Stop it. Oh, it can end like that. Just go around, just live your life like it could end just like that. Like you're aware that it could end just like that. I'm telling you, that kind of thought process will govern a lot of the experiences you find yourself in. Maybe you find it easier to dial down your aggression when arguing with someone over a parking spot, or I don't know, man, but life is too short. It's too precious. Ay, ay, ay. All right. God damn. Ugh, now what? Now I got to be afraid to get in hot tubs and Mexican resorts. Here's what I will say, though. I hope they were staying at a name brand resort. Hope they were staying at a Hilton. Hope they were staying at, some place. I hope they weren't at one of these fly-by-night, one-off mom-and-pop resort hotels because I'm not satisfied with the level of insurance that they probably carry. Oh, here we go. Well, the dog is back for a Friday of butt licking right in front of me. I thought your butt was better. All right, I got to spray some stuff. You know what I did yesterday? I had some solar cane. Not solar cane, but it's like, when bad sunburn, stuff you spray for bad sunburns. I sprayed that on her butt last night. She slept like a baby. I don't know if it's good for her butt or not, but it seemed to make her, have a nice fitless sleep. So that was good. And now she's licking her butt again. So, okay, baby, it's okay. We'll spray your butthole again. What we do for our dogs, huh? Got to spray her butthole. Oh, and let me tell you, too, it ain't going to be easy. I got to film this. I had to figure out a way to film this. Surprise, surprise. She doesn't like her butthole getting sprayed. She tends to she ran. She was like, what the hell, man? And I had to tackle her. I had to hold her down. We were in some weird 69 position as I tried to make sure that I got the inflamed areas. Yeah, I did that for you. Anyway, she's okay. How about this story today? Here's another one that just came across. Here we go. Now look, this story has been percolating for well over a week now. I've been avoiding it. And you know why? We're talking about whatever. But what I will mention it now because this just came in. A judge has ordered Alex Jones of InfoWars. A judge has ordered the liquidation of all of his personal assets. Hey, hey! Now, in another track, they're coming after InfoWars. He owes like $2 billion. And he's never going to have money again. He's going to have to spend the rest of his life like OJ did, hiding your money and trying to justify why you driving around in a Jaguar when you owe people $2 billion. But that's that's his future. But what happened today, this isn't his corporate stuff. This isn't about InfoWars. He did a whole thing last weekend where he was pretending like the FBI was at the doors and they were seizing InfoWars. They weren't. He was just prepping everybody for what was going to happen this week. This is his personal stuff. This is his cars, his collections, his antiques, his house, his furniture, his summer home, motorcycles, jet skis, boat, whatever it is that he's got. A judge has ordered that Alex Jones must liquidate all of his personal assets in order to pay off a $1.5 billion settlement that's been granted to the families of the Sandy Hook shooting victims. The order was issued by federal judge Christopher Lopez in Texas on Friday morning, who approved Jones's move to convert his bankruptcy filing into a liquidation of his personal assets. The fate of his conspiracy theory site InfoWars has yet to be determined, but that's going away too. Let's sell all that to the highest bidder. So there you go. A bad Friday for Alex Jones. A new study is all about, this is interesting. A new study is all about tracking the brains of men and women before and after they are parents. So the study has been concluded. Who did this? This is in the Washington Post. One of the interesting findings here about the way having a child changes the brain. One of the interesting findings was that male brains, it was always known that due to hormones and all that kind of thing, that the women went through very different changes when they give birth, when they carry a baby, when they nurture a baby, all of that. They go through all kinds of changes. That was always well known. They were behavioral examples for hundreds and hundreds of years that men would go, yes, women change a little. But now we know that men do as well. They say that the moments where men tend to change, it's a matter of gray matter. Now I'm going to talk about smart brain stuff. I don't know, but it's a matter of men become far more sensitive following holding their child for the first time, which I thought was very interesting to me. Because I've always described it more redundantly, more ham-fistedly. I always said that it's like a switch gets flipped in your brain. Like you're one thing, and then you're not, and then suddenly you're not. Well, now science has backed that up, and they say that is absolutely true. The question they were utilizing the scientific method for, the question is it true that men's brains change when they become fathers? And they decided that yes, they absolutely did. Men become far more sensitive. Oh, that's right. The minute we get a baby, we drop all the bullshit. But there's they can actually trace this with data and brain stuff. So something actually happens. We start to things. All right, I'm trying to have a conversation about, fathers and how we're also important to the whole process, and you're just going to lick your butt. So distracting. I got to let her out. I'm going to let her out. I'm going to go let her run around. Okay, I'll be right back. This isn't a big deal. Trust me, we'll be right back, folks. Hold on. I'm sorry. I got to do this. She's being really bad. Like trying to get my attention, like going like that on the ground while staring at me. Come on, you whack. All right. You're only going to the dog run. So that's it. You can only go there. Okay, we're back. Hold on. All right. I'm going to turn the mic on. All right, there we go. Back to it. So men's brains change when they have babies too. Now science says it's true. It's not just women. Men do as well. Any fans of the Eagles? We have any Eagles fans here? Now, generationally speaking, I'm Gen X. Generationally speaking, I'm not supposed to like the Eagles. It's like we Generation X is the generation. The Eagles were considered very cool and very popular, and it was fine to like the Eagles until Generation X kind of came around. It was the late 80s, early 90s, when all of a sudden the Eagles became lame. The Eagles became, something, from a generation before you. And that's fine. I ran with that for a number of years. But then once I became an adult and once life started just, laying out in front of me the way it did, I decided, you know what? Fuck that. I like the Eagles. Sorry. I know I'm supposed to be like, man, they're lame. But the fact of the matter is they were ubiquitous in my childhood. They were everywhere. So the way music works, as we all know, is that we hear a song at a moment in our life, and that song becomes the theme for that moment in our life. So years go by, and when we hear a song, it takes us directly back to where we were when we heard it. Now, it's not about the song so much as it is about the emotions that those memories bring back in us. And that is how music works. And that is why a band that 25 years old, I'd have been like, the Eagles are lame. That is why that band at 45, I'm like, yeah, I'll go see the Eagles. Yeah, let's go. Anyway, I saw the Eagles like 10 years ago on their last tour. And by the way, I will call it their last tour. I saw the last Eagles tour because it was the last time it was the real Eagles. With, all due respect to, I don't even know who's left. I don't know who's left. I know Bernie's gone. I know Glenn Fry is gone. Is Joe Walsh still there? And he's not even a real Eagle. Joe Walsh is like, an extra Eagle. He's not a real Eagle. Isn't it just like Don Henley in like Children of Eagles? I don't know, whatever. The last time I saw them, it was like the real Eagles lineup, and that was the Hell Freezes Over tour. And the whole reason that tour was called the Hell Freezes Over tour is because it was like, we said there'd be a tour when hell froze over. And then they came out, it was 10 years ago. And now apparently they're like, hey, wait a second, though. We're the goddamn Eagles. They got this new thing happening now in 2024 that we've been watching all of these other acts get paid buku dinero to take part in. And we being the Eagles, we would be a slam dunk for this kind of thing. Are you kidding me? Yeah, that's right. The Eagles have announced an 8-week residency in Las Vegas. They ain't going to tour around the country. They ain't going to do another one of these world tours or anything like that. But think about how good this is. Do you know how much money they must have paid to get the Eagles? Can I just tell you, do you know how perfect for a Las Vegas residency the Eagles are? Look, I know that there is still a segment of Generation X out there who is like, yeah, fuck the Eagles. I mean, there shouldn't be any real anger towards them. They seem like nice enough guys. The anger should just be about the music doesn't speak to you. But that's not it. They seem to carry with some people even more. There's something about the Eagles that some people just don't like. But here's what I'm telling you. Those people are few and far between in 2024. This is going to be a massive success for the Eagles. And, yeah, they're not playing one of the smaller places. Like, well, it's nice that they made room for the Eagles and they got U2 or, Celine Dion. No, they're playing the Sphere, okay? They're playing the Sphere. They're playing like the A-list room for 8 weeks. I'm telling you, this is a slam dunk. There ain't a person that goes to Vegas in that time that if they're offered tickets to see the Eagles is going to go, nah. I mean, that's just something that even people who are on the fence will go see. Because there is some respect to a band that is given, I don't know, 50 top 10 hits in American popular radio. My point is this, good for them. I'm not going to be angry at them. This isn't a tour. I still feel like I saw the last tour because it was the last one that Glenn Fry was alive. And if these old men want to get paid like millions to just hang out at the coolest arena in the world in Las Vegas, more power to them. It says here, the Eagles announce a Las Vegas Sphere residency. Here's when it's going to start. Let's see when it's going to start. And who's in the band? The Eagles announced Las Vegas residency at Sphere for 8 shows as dates and ticket prices are revealed. Oh, my God. See, ticket prices are going to be nuts. They're going to be expensive. The rock band, which was formed in 1971, will play 8 shows over a 4-week span. That's the other thing. Weekends. They're just doing 8 consecutive weekends. Like, that's their residency. So they can just fly home private, unlike some, Las Vegas casino private jet. They'll all get taken home private, picked up, brought back. Man, that is the life. That is life. Okay, so who's in the band now? Let's see. The performances will run from Friday, September the 20th through Saturday, October 19th. That's a reason to go to Vegas. There could be a lot of people who are like, yeah, let's go to Vegas. Hey, let's go the weekend the Eagles are playing. I'm telling you, it's a draw. General admission tickets start at $175. Oh, boy. All right. The $2.3 billion venue opened in September of 2023. The Eagles have had a wildly successful career, selling more than 150 million albums. They also had 6 #1 albums, earned 6 Grammy Awards, and so they're legendary. Come on. Name a bigger American rock band. I'll wait. Seriously, name a bigger American rock band than the Eagles. Name a band that you think has sold more albums, that have played bigger crowds, that have had more hits. Name a bigger American rock band than the Eagles. I can't do it. Jesus, they're still playing. That's the other thing. They're still playing. Name like, there's a lot of bands from England and stuff like that who you could point to, but American bands who are still playing. Who is bigger than the Eagles? Is Metallica bigger than the Eagles? I don't think so. I think Metallica is big. I think Metallica is one of the biggest American bands of all time. I don't think they're bigger than the Eagles, though. I mean, I think the average person would probably be more familiar with more Eagles songs than they would Metallica songs. Who else? Oh, Bon Jovi? Foo Fighters? U2 is Irish. Rolling Stones are English, Frank. Foo Fighters? I don't think, no. Maybe, look, if the Foo Fighters crank out albums for another 15 years, maybe then I'd be like, but I don't think the Foo Fighters are great. Probably a top 20, but I don't know if they're top. What is it? What do we get into here? Like how? Oh my God! So, Led Zeppelin's not an American band. Yeah. All right. So Al says there is no bigger American band than the Eagles. I don't think so. Anyway, you can see them at the Sphere in Las Vegas. I know there's probably some bands we're not thinking of. Like, I keep going to like the metal bands. Like, I keep going Motley Crue is not as big as the Eagles. Bon Jovi's not as big as the Eagles. God, who else? Pearl Jam? No. Who is the American band that has just been consistently cranking out songs? Are there under the radar bands? Yesterday we talked about Weezer. Is Weezer an under the radar American band that has just been quietly churning out content for like 30 years? And we don't ever, until we see the full, body of work, we don't really realize it. And then we're like, holy fuck. Yeah, Jesus, look at what Weezer has done. I'm not saying they're in the class of the Eagles. I'm just saying they're sneaky. They're sneaky bigger than I think we give them credit for. Grateful Dead? No, right? They've never had hits. They don't have hits. They have a culture and a following. I can't think of any bigger American bands. I'm thinking any New York bands. Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band has sold a lot of albums, but we don't really consider that a band. That's Bruce and the guys who back him up. Fleetwood Mac? Yeah, Fleetwood Mac, they were big, but they're hybrid American, half are British, so I don't know. Yeah, Chuck, I said Metallica. Metallica was the one I went to. Frank, Guns N' Roses would be a good one if Guns N' Roses didn't self-destruct. Guns N' Roses is in conversation with bands like, bands that blew it, that could have been great. I put like Oasis in there with Guns N' Roses. I'll put the Black Crowes in there with Guns N' Roses and Oasis as bands that blew it. That they had something and they couldn't keep the car on the road. I'm trying to think if there's any other bands. Anyway, moving on. Let's see. What else do we have here? Do we have any other things we need to talk about? We got a whole bunch of other things. I skipped this. I'm going to skip that. I'm going to skip that. I'm going to skip that. All right, here we go. Here's a fun little story about cicadas, and I get to tell a story about my mom. So, first of all, here in Texas, we have cicadas. I didn't realize that we had cicadas. We don't have cicadas the way the rest of the country or the country parts of the country that are experiencing this biblical cicada eruption. We don't have it like that, but we do have cicadas. And I know that because I was just laying in bed the other day and I heard the cicadas in the trees, in these big giant oak trees that we have here. They were loud and it was going on, and it was enough that I'm like, that's not normal. That's a different sound. And it went on and on and on. And it basically sounded like a weed, a leaf blower out there. And it stopped. But we got them. I didn't realize. We got them. I guess anywhere where there's big, giant, old trees, you're going to have cicadas, because we do have cicadas. But we do not have them the way they got them elsewhere. My mom's all pissed off though. My mom is feeling like she's getting ripped off on cicadas. She is not swimming in cicadas. She feels like she's being gypped of some life experience that she's been promised by the local media. But she lives near the water. She lives on the water's edge. And there are a lot of predators and not a lot of big, giant, thick trees. You got to be in a more inland, wooded area for the cicadas. Cicadas aren't gonna be born on the water's edge. There's too many ducks. There's too many eagles. There's too many falcons. There's too many coyotes. There's too many things that are gonna eat them and disrupt their little whatever. But the rest of, like, just a couple blocks away, I was a friend of mine who lives in Tinley Park was on Facebook, and they showed their backyard. In their backyard, it looked like that scene from Amityville Horror when the flies showed up. The back door to their house was just covered in cicadas. It was absolutely disgusting. Barney says he's got them out there by his house, but they haven't come out yet. Here, let me see this. Do we have any good cicada stories? Oh, here's a fun little video. This is a fun little cicada video that I found. Now, this is from Homewood, South Side. This is the South Side of Chicago. Homewood. I want to show you this. These are some kids. So the cicadas come out. There's like a 12-year brood, which is the southern brood. I'm going to get this all wrong, but this will give you a ballpark idea of what's happening. So every 12 years, there is a brood that is known as the southern brood, and they're born, right? And then there's another brood, which is a larger brood, which is called the northern Illinois brood, and they come out every 17 years, okay? Now, most years, there isn't any cicadas, because you got to wait. And then, it's every 12 years, you'll get the southern brood. And then in 17, you get the northern Illinois brood, right? But for some reason, this year, both broods are emerging at the same time. That has not happened since, I think they said something like the Revolutionary War days. Now, I've been in Illinois throughout my life when broods have erupted, when the northern Illinois broods, and it's been bad. It was really bad. I remember, I think it was back in the early 90s or maybe mid 90s. And that was just the northern Illinois brood. So they're everywhere is basically the point. And there's generations of kids who have no idea what they are or how to handle them. They are giant beetle-like bugs. Maybe you're familiar, maybe you're not, but they're beetle-like bugs. They're ugly and they're gross and they're meaty. When you step on them, you get juice on your shoe. You know that kind of bug? Sometimes you step on a bug and it's totally fine. It's very antiseptic. You're like, squish them, you're done. But then there's other bugs that have meat. Like, you feel like, Jesus Christ, there's like a chicken breast sized amount of meat with that bug that I just stepped. Well, that's what these gross ass things are. So here's a bunch of kids. Here's a bunch of kids in Homewood who are trying to go under a tree that is just absolutely infested with these cicadas, and the kids are stopped cold. They're scared. They're in his hair. They're in his fro. He's like, oh, man. They're all over him.
That tree got a lot of cicadas in it.
Hear how loud that is? That is loud. I mean, it is like irritatingly loud. Go, kids, go!
Oh.
Oh, little man is not handling it well. He's like a squirrel. That's how squirrels die. When you're driving through a neighborhood, when the squirrels double back. You know, a squirrel will run out in front of your car, get to the middle of the road, see you, stop, and then double back. That's when they get hit. If they had just kept going, if this little guy here, if he had just trucked on through that tree, he'd have been fine. But now instead, he's stuck under the tree being swarmed by cicadas. This kid's the best.
Yeah, I left him.
Let's watch this again. Again, we're watching the little one in the back, okay? Very far in the little one with the yellow shirt in the back. Because my guy needs a new plan.
That tree got a lot of cicadas in him.
All right, here he goes. Right here, he stops. He's having difficulty pedaling. Oh my God, they're in his face. They're all over him.
Oh.
This kid is awesome.
Oh. Yeah, I left him.
All right, there you have it. That kid is the best. All right, let's see. This is someone from the Today Show that they posted. Let's see what they're talking about. Hold on a second.
Cloud, imagine how AWS can transform your business.
Hey guys, the cicadas are out right now. This is my backyard currently.
This morning, America's cicada invasion is off and buzzing. With some areas across the Midwest and South so inundated, homeowners are sprinting to their cars to avoid the swarms.
What's it to go?
The cicadas are so in sync right now and so stinking loud.
These trillions of winged red-eyed bugs turning the sound of silence into a...
But see, here's the thing. The red-eyed bugs, trillions of red-eyed bugs. Again, these are meaty bugs. These are not like gnats or mosquitoes. These are like little flying, these are like tiny flying birds.
distant memory.
Deafening.
The culprit, 2 cicada broods, one that's lived underground for 13 years, the other for 17, that have now crawled above ground together in the first double emergence since 1803.
Do you like them?
Yeah.
At Morton Arboretum in suburban Chicago, the scientific wonder is drawing visitors from far and wide.
You came here from New York?
Yeah, the kids love it. They love bugs, so I knew they'd be into this.
Where have you had people visiting from?
Gosh, we had Canada, Germany.
Cicadas apparently are equally drawn to humans, which became obvious during our interview.
It's like one in my pant leg right now.
Is there really? Are you okay?
I'm okay. I'm like totally okay. I'm totally okay.
You don't have to be okay. Are they in my hair?
Ah, they're all over her! No! No! They're all over her. Ugh.
Oh my God, there it is.
Also inescapable, that sound.
We have a decibel meter. Look how loud they're getting.
This cicada swarm hitting 85 decibels, loud enough to damage ears with prolonged exposure. Staff here wearing earplugs, gear that won't help farther east as millions brace for a different kind of
So here we go. This is what's coming next.
invasion.
This right here is a Joro spider.
Scientists say Joro spiders, typically seen in Georgia, are set to swarm New York and New Jersey this summer, alongside spotted lanternflies, an invasive species bringing its so-called appetite for destruction for plants to at least 15 states. Experts say some bug populations are indeed thriving. One reason?
Climate change. The world is getting...
Okay, well, that's fine, whatever. We don't need to get into that stuff. The bugs are coming. That's all I care about. The bugs are coming. Cicadas. Cicada videos are fun. Couple of go-tos for me on YouTube when I'm looking to pass a little bit of time. I like to watch raw police cams of traffic stops. Typically, I'll be like entitled person with cop. I love that. I love like when people talk back to cops and shit goes bad for them. The other thing that I enjoy are people slipping on ice. I don't know if you've ever seen those, but there's a whole bunch of YouTube videos of people slipping on ice. Hysterical. That was always my go-to whenever my son was being a baby. When he was a baby, when he was pouting about something, and he'd be like sitting next to me and not saying anything and in a bad mood, I would just put on videos of people slipping on ice on YouTube, and pretty soon we're laughing. 'Cause those are funny. But now lately, I've been looking at cicada videos of people like just having really rough goes with these cicada emergences. All right. And yeah, did you see that? So coming after the cicadas, we've got these Japanese Juro spiders, which apparently, I don't know. I tuned out everything. Like they gave a description of what that thing is, but it doesn't matter because I got hung up on Japanese Juro spider. And in my mind, I went, that's going to kill us all. So I don't even know what the description of it. I don't even know if it's dangerous or not, but I heard Japanese Juro spider and I went, we're dead. Trevor Lawrence. Let's talk about Trevor Lawrence. Generational superstar quarterback. Can't miss. One of a kind. The greatest has ever been. Prototypical quarterback. Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence has apparently been signed to a big old first contract. And I do call it a first contract because they're quarterback rookie contracts, although they are better than a lot of people's entire veteran career best contract. The quarterback rookie contract is a complicated thing. Actually, the quarterback contract is a complicated thing for your team. Because here's the deal. The price of quarterback has gone up look, I would be hard pressed to find a time in the NFL where people weren't complaining about the rising cost of quarterbacks. Quarterback pricing has always gone up, and it is today just as it's always been when they signed Jim McMahon to $1 million a year. What are they, nuts? That's something. So quarterbacks are always expensive. But you can at least control how expensive they are, and you can game plan for that for the first 4 years of their career, or if we're being honest with ourselves, 3 years, because they typically need to make a decision on what they're going to do on the rookie quarterback's contract in the third or fourth year. So the Carolina Panthers found themselves in a situation where here they got Trevor Lawrence, who was the number 1 overall pick just 4 years ago. I teasingly generational because that's what they called him. But goddamn, he looks like, he looks like you drew up that you needed a quarterback and they drew this guy up in the lab. And here he is. He's Trevor Lawrence. He checked all the boxes moving through. Incredible college career, incredible high school career. He's got the size. He's got the strength. He's got the arm. He's got the accuracy. He's everything. But his team is absolute garbage. His team got so messed up, got so completely. Well, actually, I don't want to go into the inner workings of the Jaguars because now that I think about it, I really don't know. I shouldn't be talking about the Jaguars. I hate when people do that. I can do like a national sports take on the Jaguars. Here's the thing: is he worth a $200 million guarantee, Trevor Lawrence? $200 million has been guaranteed. He's been picked up. It's a 5-year extension worth $275 million, basically $55 million a year, with $200 million of that guaranteed. I don't know what that means. It says with $200 million guaranteed and $142 million fully guaranteed. That's fully. Are you guaranteeing it or not? But whatever, it doesn't matter. That's a very big commitment that the Jacksonville Jaguars have made Trevor Lawrence. This is why it sucks. This is why that rookie deal with a quarterback is so coveted by GMs today. I was just talking to Adam Rant on Twitter earlier today about that. Tell you how we're seeing quarterbacks now starting. They get drafted in April. They're starting in September. That used to be something that was 100% of the league was like, no, you draft a quarterback and they sit for a year. The responsible thing to do with a bright, talented young quarterback is to make him sit behind a grizzled veteran and learn from the old man for a year or two. You know, the way Aaron Rodgers did. There's a lot of people you can point to, and that was a way, and that's a cautious way. And that is probably the smart way. That's probably the preferred way. Although people point to Patrick Mahomes like he did it that way. And I'm like, yeah, but there was no reason. I mean, they didn't honestly, when they drafted Patrick Mahomes, they weren't in desperate need at quarterback. They had a fine quarterback. The quarterback was fine. Now he would get hurt and, be all that. But, they were good. Alex Smith was a good quarterback. And Patrick Mahomes was afforded the luxury to sit behind him. But because quarterbacks are so expensive now, as we're seeing with this Trevor Lawrence deal, because quarterbacks are so expensive now, the first deal after their rookie deal, the rookie deal is controlled. There's a max cap on that. You can't go above a certain amount. You can't pay a rookie quarterback $100 million a year. You can't do it. That's good. So you got that for 4 years. Now, after 4 years, if you think your rookie quarterback is an actual franchise quarterback, then you've got to do this. And by paying somebody $200 million guaranteed over the course of 5 years, yes, you are committing to this person as being the number one cash draw on your team for the next few years. And you better not find yourself in some fucked up salary cap issue, because if you don't capitalize when your window is open with this young quarterback, you're dead. You're dead, and you got to restart it, because you will find yourself in salary cap hell. The Dallas Cowboys are in real trouble right now because they're going to have to give out. Not going to have to. They're not. They're going to have to make a choice. They're going to have to make a Sophie's choice, if you will, because they've got 3 guys on their team that need to be paid. 2 of them have a real case to be paid the most of any other at their position in the league. So, man, Trevor Lawrence has just signed a big deal. The Jaguars have committed to him. He's going to be there for a while. They're all in. They're riding or dying with Trevor Lawrence. There you go. He's not, who was the guy who was, he's not Zach Wilson. Nope. He's not Colt McCoy. Nope. He's not Justin Fields. Nope. Nope. All those other dudes from his draft class. They've all moved on. Trey Lance. Nope. He got the payday. Good for him. Trevor Lawrence got the payday. Now, I guess it would be for me, like if I'm the dude in charge of the Jacksonville Jaguars, I mean, now what do you do? What do you do? You got Trevor Lawrence. He's got to get a big payday. It's probably going to screw up your cap plans for, although it's not going to screw it up. Let's be honest. They've game planned for this. They knew it's not like, oh shit, we didn't know we were going to have to pay. So they game planned for it. It's a choice they made. Now, what would I do? Would I give him all that money? You're goddamn right. I'm a Chicago Bear fan. Quarterbacks do not grow on trees. If you got a quarterback and you think you can win with that quarterback, you pay that man and you lock him down and you roll. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be a great quarterback. I think he's already been a very good quarterback. So we'll see. All right, there you go. Trevor Lawrence making a big payday down there. The Jaguars have reached a deal with their star quarterback, Trevor Lawrence. Sources say they're giving the former number 1 pick a 5-year extension worth $275 million, $55 million a year, with $200 million guaranteed and $142 million fully. That's why you need lawyers. No idea what that means. What do you mean you give me? What do you mean? So $200 million guaranteed? Okay, let me ask you something. So I know what the $200 million is. That's dollars, right? That's $200 million. Okay, but then the word guaranteed, what does that mean? Well, that means you're guaranteed to make that. $200 million, yeah. But then you're also fully guaranteed to make $143 million. Well, which is that? That's a difference of $57 million. I don't want to be fully guaranteed. I'd rather be guaranteed. I want the $200 million that you've guaranteed. What's this? That's why you need lawyers. All right, moving on. Trevor Lawrence. There you go. Let's see, what else do we have here? Moving on. What else do we have? Trevor Lawrence. Okay, here we go. Let's talk about this. God, I got into a big heated argument about this morning. I'm not proud of it, but I just felt like. Told you I had to drive people to the airport today, and on the way to the airport, we were having conversations about, sports. And the Mavs came up. We got a Mavs game tonight. a young man in the car, and the young man and the young man's father were like, "Go Mavs!" They're all optimistic. So old Uncle Pugs had to turn around and go, "Not a chance, kid. Not a chance." Sorry, I didn't mean to be that guy, but. So the Mavs play the Boston Celtics tonight down here at the AAC. Boston Celtics have a chance to win their 18th. Is it their 18th world title? Boston Celtics, man, I'm telling you. I've watched all the games. You've watched all the games. I'm a Mavs fan. I root for the Mavs. I wanted the Mavs to win, but it's pretty goddamn clear to me that the Mavs are not going to win this game. They're just not. They just can't hang. To put it bluntly, the Mavericks cannot hang in an entire NBA game with the Boston Celtics. Right now, they can't do it. They're going to do some things in the offseason. This team's going to come back. This team's going to be great. We're fine. We've got some. We're going to be okay. Besides, this was a big surprise. None of us expected this from the Mavericks this year. This is a wonderful surprise. They are going to get swept, though. They are going to lose tonight. And I'll tell you why they're going to lose tonight. I'm not just saying this to be a contrarian. You guys, I'm not a contrarian. I'm just saying this because this is honestly how I feel. I'm the idiot who was, championing the Rangers. Yeah, I'm always going to lean on that because I did. People were like, you don't know anything about baseball. I'm like, no, man, look, they've been building. This farm system is really good. These players are all really good. They've made the right free agent signings, and I'm telling you, this pitching staff is deep. Those were all my arguments for the Rangers last year. I was happy it worked out. It was a coincidence, but look. So my point is this. I'm not just shitting on the Rangers because I just shit on no. Or the Mavs, I should say. I'm not just shitting on the Mavs. I want the Mavs to win. I mean, they're not as good. They're just not as good. They're broken down. The Mavs are tired. My God, the Celtics did what they did the other night without Porzingis. They're not even going to have. That's how little the Celtics. They're in no hurry to rush Porzingis back. It's like, yeah, we'll just do it with what we did last time. That number 11, that little number 11 from the Boston Celtics. I don't even know who that guy is. He's like a gnat. There are some interesting things, though, to watch. Why do I think it's just going to be a rout? Here's why I think it's going to be a rout. My buddy E, he predicted a double-digit victory for the Dallas Mavericks. And I said, well, I mean, wouldn't that be fun? But to what cost? What point? Do you think you're going to go and win 3 in Boston? Do you think you're going to be, what? Come on, man. Here's what I think is going to happen. I think that the Mavericks are going to play really tough. Hell, I think the Mavericks might even be up by a pretty decent margin at halftime. And then I think in the third quarter, we're going to see Boston kind of turn the screws a little bit. And then at some point in the early fourth quarter, this is my prediction for the game. At some point in the early fourth quarter, Boston is going to begin to pull away. They're going to do what they've done whenever it's gotten close with the Mavs. They're just going to play suffocating defense. They're going to cause Luka to make mistakes, and they're going to shoot threes every time down the court. That's just what they're going to do. Now, when this begins to happen in the early fourth quarter, after a game that had been relatively tight with the Mavs leading at halftime, what's going to happen in this moment is that the Mavericks are going to give up. And ultimately, I think it's going to be the Celtics winning on the Mavericks floor by 18, 19 points. I think that once the Mavericks in the early fourth quarter see that it's starting to pull away, it's now 12 points, and now it's 15 points. Now, once that starts to happen, I think they're going to give up, and here's why. You think they want to get on a plane and go all the way to Boston to let them win on their court? No. At some point in the fourth quarter, these professional athletes who know better than I do watching it, they know when it's done. They know when they're cooked. These professional athletes are going to be like, all right, I am not going to go back to fucking Boston. They're going to give up. Do I wish that wasn't the case? Yeah. Do I wish that this team seemed to have a little bit more grit than that? Yeah, but they don't. They don't, and that's the problem with this Mavericks team. This Mavericks team takes on the personality of their biggest and boldest player, and that is Luka Doncic, and Luka Doncic is an unlikable crybaby. Luka Doncic can't get back on defense, okay, because he's too busy bickering with the referees about some phantom foul that he imagined just occurred. That's That's Luka. And by the way, I've been watching a lot of people talk about Luka over the last couple of days since the last game. This isn't just something that Luka does now. Brian Windhorst brought like a whole shit ton of examples from his international play where he's done the exact same thing throughout his career. He argues with the referee and refuses to get back on defense, and then something happens. I don't think Kyrie's like that. I think Kyrie's different. I think he could be the one to watch. Kyrie could go off for 50 points today. And I hope he does. And I just hope that Luka Doncic matures. I hope that somebody gets in Luka Doncic's head and explains to him how blessed he is to be playing in Dallas at this point in his career. I don't know if Luka Doncic thinks he's, bred for LA or Madison Square Garden or whatever, and this is just a stopping point in his career. But I hope that he at some point appreciates the fact that he played during this time of his career in a market that wasn't the New York or Los Angeles press. Because could you imagine if he was this much of a crybaby? And I mean, look what they did to James Harden. James Harden was just a powder. A bit of a dirty player. But you know what I'm saying? It's more obvious. Luka's been hidden away down here in Dallas. He's a superstar. He's probably one of the best 5 players in the league. He should be, well, if he was liked, he could probably make a whole bunch more. Anyway, he's a baby. The team is going to give up. They're probably going to come out of the blocks hot. They may even lead at halftime. Third quarter, the Celtics are going to tighten it up. Early in the fourth quarter, the Celtics are going to begin to pull away, and that's when the Mavericks are going to quit. Because the Mavericks do not want to get on a plane and go to Boston. They know what they're up. They know it's over. They're going to quit. And you should be angry. You should be frustrated. But you should also be happy because this is a choice. This is what being a sports fan is about. It's a choice. You're not supposed to be here. Don't be angry at them. They gave you the surprise of the spring. Nobody thought we were going to be watching Mavericks basketball this late into the season. By the way, everybody did think we would be watching the Boston Celtics this late in the season. The Boston Celtics being here ain't a surprise to anybody. But we had fun. We enjoyed it. This was good. And we lost. And guess what we got now? Guess what we got now in Dallas? We got an angry, hungry veteran team who has been to the dance. That's who we're bringing back next year. So let's roll. It will be really interesting though. I mean, all eyes will be on Luka and how is Luka going to complain? Is he going to chirp? Is he going to shout things at his own bench? These are all problematic things, which suck because he's one of the most interesting and fun players to watch that I have ever seen. And, I was on the sidelines there for a lot of those games when I was producing Bulls basketball. I have seen some pretty great basketball. Luka's right up there. All-timer. God damn, I just wish this kid would be more likable. He had a smile, man. There's not gonna be no be like Luka. There gonna be none of that. He ain't Magic Johnson. He ain't Kobe. He's just like this big, scary trench coat wearing Eastern European thug from a James Bond movie, which he shouldn't be. He should lose 25 pounds. He should get all ripped. He's a handsome kid. He could be like a sex symbol in the end. He's not. Instead, he's like Igor. He ain't Dirk. That's the other thing. He ain't Dirk. I think he might be a better basketball player than Dirk, but he ain't Dirk. He doesn't have everything else that Dirk has. Again, he might be a better basketball player than Dirk, but he ain't Dirk. Dirk is a champion. Dirk is a leader. Dirk is an icon. I don't think Luka is Dirk. All right. What do we want to move on to here now? Let's talk about this. Last night I left you with, or yesterday's show, I left you with the news that Hulu had a new documentary about the Brat Pack called Brats. Brats is the new documentary on Hulu. It's about the Brat Pack. It's Andrew McCarthy. Andrew McCarthy, who is, of course, a ranking member of the Brat Pack. I think so. I think Andrew McCarthy, without question, is a Brat Packer. After all of these years of blaming his inclusion in the Brat Pack on, whatever life issues he's had to circumnavigate, he decided to get a camera and he was going to direct a documentary about being in the Brat Pack. So he decided he would hunt down all of his fellow Brat Pack members and they filmed it and they put it on Hulu and I watched it last night. Anybody else watch it? Anybody else check this out? It's called Brats. Couple of observations. First and foremost, it should be pointed out that the driving force of this documentary is a New York Magazine article from 1986 by David Blum, which coined the phrase Brat Pack. I believe this was before the release of St. Elmo's Fire, which I believe is one of the cornerstone films of the Brat Pack. Anybody in St. Elmo's Fire is in the Brat Pack. That was them going to college. Because we had already seen the Brat Pack in high school. We had seen all those movies. But once they started to get out into the real world, then you started to get more adult Brat Pack movies. And I believe that St. Elmo's Fire is the start of that. So Emilio Estevez was the star of St. Elmo's Fire because he was the biggest star of them all at the time, if you can believe that. And New York Magazine was doing a cover piece on him, and it just so happened that David Blum, the writer of this cover piece, was invited to come hang out with Emilio when they're doing the interview. Why don't you just come and hang out with me for a night? So Emilio Estevez took him out with some other people. I think that like Rob Lowe was there and some of the other Brat Packers. So what this turned out to be for David Blum of the New York Magazine was less a one-on-one with Emilio Estevez and more an opportunity to be a fly on the wall with the Brat Pack in the moment that the Brat Pack was dominating. And he wrote a very scathing article and he coined the phrase Brat Pack. These were entitled, wealthy, not serious actors. That was essentially the article. And I don't remember all that, but that's what the article was about. And it basically painted them as the way we might paint a Kardashian or a Jake Paul today. Now, to a number of these people who were featured in this Brat Pack article, they took it very seriously and it hurt them deeply. Andrew McCarthy is the one that seems to have had the most trauma from this. And you would think, oh, what? A magazine made them out to be, nothing but partiers and drug doers and whores and all that stuff. No, it's more than that. The magazine made a lot of them out to be not serious performers, not serious artists. And I kind of get that. Like one of them says, I think it's Emilio Estevez, who says in the movie, after that article, do you think Martin Scorsese or Steven Spielberg wanted to cast a Brat Packer in one of their films? And I was like, wow, that's a good point. Like if you're suddenly being painted, you're the hottest thing in Hollywood, but you're being painted as disposable, not serious about the craft of acting, not serious about life in general. You're just out there whoring and drugging. Yeah, I mean, I could see how that would be to a 22-year-old. Oh, shit. What do you mean Martin Scorsese doesn't want to have anything to do with me? So, I mean, you could say that hurt your career. There was also great conversation about who is and who isn't in the Brat Pack. And I got some names here for you. I wanted to go through some of these, and I wanted to give you my judgment on them. What is a Brat Pack movie? What is the overlap with John Hughes movies? Are they one and the same? No, they are not. They are two separate things, but there is very much crossover. Do we consider things like S.E. Hinton's The Outsiders or Rumblefish to be part of the Brat Pack? Yes, I do. I absolutely do. I consider that early Brat Pack. So when we consider all of that, what is a Brat Pack movie? What is a Brat Pack thing? Because it is a very specific thing. There was a time in Hollywood when movies suddenly were all about teenagers. And to understand how important this is, you need to know that before this time in Hollywood, no movies were ever about teenagers. All movies that Hollywood made were about people in their 30s. It was, where the stars were the people that... Then suddenly in the 80s, they started to see that there was a youth market for films, and they started to create films that starred and gave the perspective of young people. This is the hole that John Hughes went through, but before him, you had everything from the S.E. Hinton books to Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Fast Times at Ridgemont High is an incredibly important film for that very reason. That it was the first time that there was a film where, what do you mean the story is going to be driven by a 17-year-old ideology? That wasn't something Hollywood did, but they did that in the 80s. And when they exploded, there was a core of young actors taking on these leading roles who were then considered Brat Packers. Okay, so that's what we're looking at. Al asked straight out, John Cusack, is he part of the Brat Pack? John Cusack is my first name on the list. He is not A-list Brat Pack. John Cusack is C-list Brat Pack, but definitely Definitely John Cusack is Brat Pack adjacent, as is Sean Penn. Sean Penn, Brat Pack adjacent. Julia Roberts. Julia Roberts is a more complicated one. Is she in the Brat Pack? Well, she was hanging out with the Brat Pack. She partied with the Brat Pack. She was on the arm of Kiefer Sutherland for a lot of those years. But Julia Roberts wasn't famous yet. So Julia Roberts was Kiefer Sutherland's unfamous actress wannabe girlfriend at the time that the Brat Pack was going on. He made her do Flatliners, and that's how Joel Schumacher discovered her, and then she became Pretty Woman and all that. But still, Rat Pack adjacent. We're going to say Julia Roberts is Brat Pack adjacent. How about Michael J. Fox? Where do you consider the Back to the Future films, those Robert Zemeckis films, within the order of Brat Pack youth-driven film? I think it's right up there, and I think Michael J. Fox is a member of the Brat Pack. Who else do we have here? How about Robert Downey Jr.? Is Robert Downey Jr. a member of the Brat Pack? Absolutely he is. Robert Downey Jr. is A-list Brat Pack. Why? Because Robert Downey Jr., although he wasn't in St. Elmo's Fire, he was in the other young adult coming of age Brat Pack iconic film, Less Than Zero. Less Than Zero. Again, we are talking about they are not children anymore. They are college. They are graduating college. They were young adults. And it was through their eyes. Brat Pack the Brat Pack went to bars, not detention. I know we want to say Brat Pack is Breakfast Club. No. Brat Pack is them in bars doing blow, getting pregnant, having abortions. That's Less Than Zero in that St. Elmo's Fire era. Who else do we have? Matthew Broderick. Is Matthew Broderick a member of the Brat Pack? I say yes. I say yes, he is, for a number of reasons. Because Matthew Broderick was in War Games with Ali Sheedy, which is considered one of the first times that they did a teenage-driven movie, a movie from a teen perspective that wasn't an outright comedy. They had always been, kids are funny. Let's let them tell their side of it, but make it funny. War Games wasn't that. War Games was a thriller with a male teen lead. Matthew Broderick is in the Brat Pack. Tom Cruise. All right, we got it here. That's who's asking about Tom Cruise. Someone in the chat room was asking about Tom Cruise. Al Gamboa. Tom Cruise, not in the Brat Pack. Not a Brat Pack. I know. You're like, but Pugs, he was in The Outsiders. But Pugs, he was in Taps. But Pugs, he was all over there. He was friends with those. No, he wasn't. He went on auditions with all those people. He was never a part of that scene. You have to understand, Tom Cruise has always been weird. When everybody else Tom Cruise's age, his buddies, whether they be they were not buddies. That's the point I'm trying to make. They were not buddies. They were contemporaries, and they were probably competing for the same roles. But like, let's say an Emilio Estevez and a Rob Lowe are getting their crew together with a Kiefer Sutherland and maybe a John Cusack. They're going to go out. They're going to hit the town. They ain't calling Tom Cruise. They never were. Tom Cruise was a weirdo. Tom Cruise didn't do that stuff. You do realize that Tom Cruise was like 20 years old, married to a 40-year-old woman. Tom Cruise got married to an older woman and got swept off into a whole different lane of Hollywood. Tom Cruise is not a member of the Brat Pack. Mimi Rogers. He's married to Mimi Rogers at first, and Tom Cruise is not in that Brat Pack. A young actor from that era who benefited from the shift in direction of Hollywood films. Certainly he benefited from that. Risky Business, Top Gun, but he's not a Brat Packer. All right, here's a couple of girls here that we need to consider. Actually, let's do 3 girls here because we've only been talking about guys. It seems to me that the dead ringers in the Brat Pack, as far as the girls, you got your Molly Ringwald, you got your Demi Moore, you got your Ali Sheedy. I include Mara Winningham because Mara Winningham is an integral part of St. Elmo's Fire, and I think that if you're in St. Elmo's Fire, you're a part of the Brat Pack. So we got her, but then we've got these 3. We need to consider the Brat Pack fates of Jennifer Jason Leigh, not to be confused with Leah Thompson and Phoebe Cates. How do we feel about these? Leah Thompson, Howard the Duck. Some Kind of Wonderful? Is she in Some Kind of Wonderful? Leah Thompson is interviewed in this yesterday, and she describes herself as being Brat Pack adjacent, but not total, or Leah Thompson, but not Brat Pack proper. She was Brat Pack adjacent. Apparently, she was married during the time of the Brat Pack, and she was married to the director of Pretty in Pink. So she was like, I was Brat Pack adjacent, went to all the parties. But all right, Leah Thompson, there we have it. Not Brat Pack adjacent. How about Jennifer Jason Leigh? Jennifer Jason Leigh. I would think of her as being somebody who could be considered Brat Pack, but, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Jennifer Jason Leigh. But I don't think so. I don't think I put Jennifer Jason Leigh in the Brat Pack. Phoebe Cates. Again, we're going to go with Phoebe Cates. Phoebe Cates is also not in the Brat Pack. But of those three girls, I do think that it's Leah Thompson who has the most claim to be a part of the Brat Pack. Who's the other one? Who's the other one? There's another girl. There's another girl that we need to absolutely include in the Brat Pack. She's forgotten. Mary Stuart Masterson. That's right. We got to put Mary Stuart Masterson, I think, in the Brat Pack. Al Gamboa says you would have to put Ralph Macchio in the Brat Pack. No, I don't think so. Ralph Macchio he didn't hang out with those people. We didn't see pictures of People magazine of, a drunk Ralph Macchio hanging out with Kiefer Sutherland. I don't think so. Certainly Karate Kid, again, very important youth culture film. Another one of those iconic films that shifted who Hollywood was openly targeting with their films. But I don't think of Ralph Macchio as being, I don't. I almost think of Ralph Macchio as being a little bit older. Isn't Ralph Macchio just I think of Ralph Macchio from the late 70s, early 80s. How about Charlie Sheen? Is Charlie Sheen a Brat Packer? I think he is. I think if you're in Young Guns, I think Young Guns is a very Brat Pack film, even though in the Hulu documentary they don't include it. They're like, I don't think Young Guns is Brat Pack. I'm like, no, it is. It's definitely. Look, I was there. I was the audience. You got my money, and I'm telling you what, you got my money because, to me, Young Guns was a Brat Pack film. So I'm shut up. I don't care what Emilio Estevez says about it. Timothy Hutton. Here's another one. Timothy Hutton. They do the Bratz documentary on Hulu about the Brat Pack. They spend a lot of time with Timothy Hutton, and I had not considered Timothy Hutton in the world of Brat Packers, but it was very fun because I love Timothy Hutton. I think Timothy Hutton's first of all, to see Timothy Hutton the way he's living now, it's like, yeah, that's how badass Timothy Hutton lives. He's just he's puttering around like a farm in the middle of nowhere. He's got hogs and shit, and he's just sitting on his front porch, and he's wearing a beanie on a rocking chair, and he's talking to Andrew McCarthy, who, as it turns out, I guess Andrew McCarthy was sort of friends with Timothy Hutton back in the day. And as it turns out, Timothy Hutton was very nice to Andrew McCarthy. So that was a very nice scene between the two of them. They hadn't seen each other in a while, and there was obviously warmth and care between them. And what was interesting to me was how Andrew McCarthy portrayed Timothy Hutton, because us on the outside, we'd be like, well, Timothy Hutton, we think of him as one way and Andrew McCarthy another way. But in their universe, the way Andrew McCarthy treated Timothy Hutton, it showed you how powerful Timothy Hutton was in the 80s. Timothy Hutton was really powerful. The dude had an Academy Award at 19. He's one of the youngest people ever to win an Oscar. He won it in 1980 for Ordinary People. So of the young actors, I guess, in that time, the ones, your Tom Cruises, your Emilios, your Andrew McCarthys, your Judd Nelsons, all these people. By the way, Judd Nelson also absolutely 100% A-list Brat Packer. But of all of these people, Timothy Hutton was apparently the one that could walk into a room and everybody would be like, oh, but he's the real actor. He's the serious actor. He's the good one. So that was interesting to see Andrew McCarthy talking to Timothy Hutton with such reverence and such, because I think Timothy Hutton's awesome. I don't really think anybody else did. Taps. You guys ever seen Taps? Come on. I love Taps. I've tried on 3 different occasions to get my 15-year-old son to watch Taps with me. I can't get him to watch Taps with me. Taps is the story of a military boarding school, and the government or something, I don't know, we're going to close down the boarding school. And the graduating class of military cadets refused to let the school be closed. And Timothy Hutton is like the kid in charge of like all the students. And it's just a very good movie. When I was 14, let me tell you something. Taps connected with me, Timothy Hutton. Let's see what else. There's also this great scene in the new Hulu documentary Brats, about the Brat Pack. There's a great scene where he, in the beginning of it, he starts calling everybody. And Andrew McCarthy explains, I know you people think that we all, go out to dinner once a week, but we don't. I haven't seen these people in 40 years. So I like the scene where he's calling people and he's going straight to everyone's voicemail. He's like, hey, hey, Demi. Hey, Emilio. Judd. He's like trying to call everybody. And then so there was this moment where I'm watching it where I'm going, oh, please call him back. Please, I hope everybody calls him back. I want to have that moment where they call him, and they did. They all called him back. Who did I like and who didn't I like? I will tell you this. I found Andrew McCarthy to be the least likable of all of them, and he's the one that's on camera the most. It's his thing. He's directing. He's doing the interviews. This is Andrew McCarthy's trauma that we're trying to work through. We're trying to figure out why he hasn't been able to be happy since he was dubbed a member of the Brat Pack. And he goes around and he talks to all these people, and most of the people that he talks to, other members of the Brat Pack, first of all, even Emilio Estevez, who was a little bit of a pisser, but they all seem to have a pretty good life. They all seem pretty happy. Can I just tell you, I couldn't have been more charmed by Ali Sheedy. Ali Sheedy looks like she is just living her best life. She's like a borderline old woman. She's wearing a big giant sweater. She's got her big reading glasses on. She's sitting on her couch, Indian style, in what looks to be like a funky Brooklyn apartment. Not like some crazy, I'm a star apartment, but no, like I made like 20 million when I was 25, and now I'm trying to live responsibly. Anyway, I liked Ali Sheedy. I liked her. She just has such great energy. Emilio was a little bit, Emilio fed into Andrew McCarthy. Like Andrew McCarthy just wanted to talk to all these people. And basically the attitude was, so it really sucked being in the Brat Pack, didn't it? How did it ruin your life? Because it ruined mine. That was how Andrew McCarthy went into all of these conversations. And Emilio Estevez is probably the one who played into it the most. And why not? Emilio had to watch himself go from being the top guy. Emilio was like the biggest young male lead star in America for about 2 years. He went from that to a guy that we haven't seen in anything in 20 years. And not only that, but his little brother, he had to watch his little brother, Charlie Sheen, just go like right past him. So I understand how Emilio Estevez is probably a little bit, conflicted about the whole Brat Pack thing, seeing as how it didn't work out for him. You know what's funny about that? Watched his little brother go right past him. That's kind of like Donnie Wahlberg. Like Donnie Wahlberg and Emilio Estevez had the same thing where they became famous. Donnie Wahlberg became a member of New Kids on the Block, and Emilio Estevez became famous, and they used their power to open a door for their little brother, and their little brothers just went right past them. So Emilio's a little bit, I won't get into all of that, but Emilio seemed like he was like, yeah, how about it, bro? It sucks. Our lives were ruined because of the Brat Pack. He was kind of like that. Then they get to Demi Moore, which is really interesting because also, can I just say, look, when I was like 16, 17 years old, I had a crazy crush on Demi Moore. Crazy. She was like my favorite actress. I thought she was so beautiful. Her voice, I thought her voice was so sexy. I loved everything about Demi Moore. She was my favorite. Without a doubt, my favorite. And then, times go by and you kind of forget about that. But last night I'm watching Bratz. Boom. Right back. I am right back to being in love with Demi Moore again. That bitch is so fucking cool. She's just a cool chick, man. She's like, Demi Moore is the only one. Demi Moore blew his mind. Demi Moore was the only one who looked at the whole Brat Pack thing from a different perspective, a more optimistic perspective, a more loving perspective, no, I think you got it wrong, Andrew. It was actually kind of great. And it was wonderful. And we had that opportunity. She had the coolest attitude about it of anybody. Now, here's why that's funny. Because she's by far the most successful of all of them. The Brat Pack, being associated with the Brat Pack, didn't hurt Demi Moore at all in the 90s. Molly Ringwald, she might be like, yeah, I didn't really get much work. Demi Moore did. Demi Moore just took off and became the highest paid female actress in the history of Hollywood for a period of time. Sandra Bullock would surpass that in the early 2000s. But there was a time when Demi Moore, she's doing her G.I. Janes and her Ghost and her whatever the hell else it is. She was a monster. And now all of these years later, she has had a career above and beyond her role within the Brat Pack. So all of these years later, she now looks back on the full of her career, and she gets Andrew McCarthy, who comes from her past, and he's like, oh, didn't it suck? And she's like, nah, it's actually pretty great. That's how I met Bruce. I don't know. It's pretty great if you ask me. I wouldn't have my kids if it wasn't for those Brat Pack days. So she gave him, and I won't spoil it for you, but she gave him like a new way of looking at it. And he was very receptive. But it is funny that the one person who has this optimistic way of looking at it is the person who wasn't harmed at all by the moniker of being a member of the Brat Pack. Probably even benefited by far the most. Who else do they talk to that I thought was interesting? They talked to Leah Thompson. She's great. She's a delight. Ali Sheedy's a delight. Do they get to Judd Nelson? That's right. Yeah, we got to. Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay, I don't want to give that away. You'll see. That's it. So anyway, here was what I would say about Brats, the Brat Pack documentary. If you're looking for something to watch this weekend. If you are Gen X and you lived it and you get all of the references and you understand the movies that they're talking about and you've seen the clips and all of that, you were there, you lived it, you understood the context of the times, you'll love it. You'll love it. It's just, it's very much a celebration of a point in time that is very specific to, I believe, Gen X. If you weren't a part of that, if you didn't grow up on those movies, right? If you didn't, have a crush on Molly Ringwald sophomore year, whatever, if that's not you, then you might find this to be a very long and drawn out exercise in Andrew McCarthy's superb narcissism. It might be boring. You might be like, oh my God, why are these people prattling on about Howard the Duck? Not that they do, not that I'm just saying. You might not be as interested in it, but I was. Texas Rangers 4 says, love the Brat Pack talk, Pugs. In 1985, I was in elementary school watching the Challenger explosion, and I didn't watch all these R-rated movies until the 90s and 2000s. I didn't see them in their time. I think then you might enjoy it. Texas Rangers 4. Andrew McCarthy, Texas Rangers 4 says, Andrew McCarthy was in Dallas last year and I wasn't motivated to see him like a member of the 1985. Well, why would you go see first of all, how would you know that Andrew McCarthy seems to move about incognito pretty well these days? He's Andrew McCarthy. He seems like the kind of guy you'd see at the airport and go, that dude looks like Andrew McCarthy at 63, but it couldn't possibly be Andrew McCarthy at 63 because Andrew McCarthy is 28 and will always be 28 in my mind. Leslie C asks about Sarah Jessica Parker. Is Sarah Jessica Parker a member of the Brat Pack? I think that she is Brat Pack adjacent. I absolutely do. That's a good one. That's a good one. Sarah Jessica Parker, Brat Pack adjacent. But we can all agree. Judd Nelson, Andrew McCarthy, Emilio Estevez, Anthony Michael Hall is someone that they didn't really talk about much, but he's definitely a Brat Packer. Robert Downey Jr. is a Brat Packer. Hell, there's even Brat Packers whose names we don't know. Like, remember the other dude in Weird Science with Anthony Michael Hall? We don't know who that guy is. That guy didn't go on to do anything else. He's a Brat Packer, though. I bet you he went to some of those parties. Let's see. I guess that's it, folks. I was in high school when the Challenger exploded. I was in high school and everybody had skipped out. I was in gym class and we didn't have enough to do whatever we were going to do in gym class because the entire gym class, my entire senior class, but not me for some reason, they had all ditched school that day because it was on the very same day as the 1985 Chicago Bears Super Bowl parade downtown. Everybody skipped school. I didn't. I was stuck there. And we couldn't have gym class. So we were all just hanging out. There was like 4 of us left in the class, and we were just hanging out with the coaches in the coach's locker room, the coach's office. And they had a TV in there, and we saw it. We watched the Challenger explode. And I'll never forget our gym coach. We're watching it, and we were all like, huh? Because you didn't know what that is. They didn't right away go, this is terrible. It's just something that happened. We're looking at it. And then one of the gym coaches said something like, oh, I don't think that's right. And then I remember my gym coach sitting at his desk. He went to his phone and he picked the phone and he called and he started talking to somebody and he goes, are you watching this? He goes, what's this? That's something. And then by that time, they're like catastrophic failure. And it was, but I'll never forget that. I got to see that happen live in my high school gym coach's office because everybody else had ditched out to go to the 85 Bears Super Bowl parade. All right, guys, that's going to do it. Once again, I still got the be right back. Look at me. I'm such an asshole. You know what? That's why I'm existing on ramen noodles. Tip the show if you want to help us out. We didn't make any money this week. I think we made about, I'm not even going to say, but it wasn't good this week. The show runs on your gratuities and your tips. Help us out. That's how we get by. We'll see you back here on Monday. I'm going to be working on a couple of videos this weekend, so I'll post those. I'm going to do one on this alien situation. I'll post that sometime over the weekend. I'm going to do another one on the Brat Pack doc. I'm going to do a full one on the Brat Pack doc. So be looking forward to that. Like, follow, subscribe, do all of those things so you don't miss a damn thing. And again, tip the show if you can. Love you guys. We'll see you back here on Monday. Or if something big happens, I'll jump on with a live stream to cover it. Love you. Bye.